Hello, how are you today?
Yeah.
I'm on Talk Sport. I mean, that's so cool. Thank you so much, guys.
Your life will change.
Stimulating late-night sports conversation for people who know that just trying to find someone sober to talk to at this time of night is like trying to find a pig on the moon.
In the early morning mist I see.
No rules news debate from around the world and around the bend. The two mics
Apply more lager.
on Talk Sport.
Yeah.
Look at the light!
AM time on the breakfast show is different to the time here. This is space time. It's the
Right.
middle of the night, if you see what I mean.
It's still AM, though, isn't it?
Well, it's still AM, but it's AM, see what I mean?
I don't know
It's
really.
earlier than AM. When are we going to be able to literally build a bridge between Earth and the moon? Oh, the bridges!
This is Talk Sport. I'm Mike Graham, and it's time to say a very, very good morning to Mr. Mike Porky Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
And a very good morning to you, Mike. As you can imagine, I'm in a very good mood this
Are you?
morning.
Well, that makes a change.
After Everton's spectacular victory at West Bromwich Albion, the first time that we've turned over a 2-0 deficit away from
Oh, really?
home during the course of the
Is there
Premier League.
going to be a lot of this, is there?
No, Lukaku was obviously man of the match, scored two, made the other one.
Yeah.
And
West Brom are 4 points off relegation, I'm told.
and why are you telling me that?
Well, because, so you beat West Brom 4 points off relegation. Is it that much to be excited about?
Well, if they'd have won, they would then be 7 points off relegation, wouldn't they?
I guess so.
And Everton would not have 12 points they have, they'd only have 9.
Well, there's no point
so that
talking
puts
about
it all
what
into
might
perspective.
have been, though.
Well, no, I totally agree. I'm talking about what is.
Yeah.
And what is that you go away from
They were
home.
terrible
Have
in
you
the
seen
first
Everton's
half.
away record
They
this season?
They were terrible in the first half.
Who?
Everton.
No, I don't agree.
Well,
I
Roberto
thought-
Martinez thought they were terrible.
No,
in the
no,
first
no.
half.
West Brom made it hard for them to play. But if you look at
Do
Everton's...
you know what he said about we were very disappointed with the first half. We were off every single individual. That's what he said.
Sorry, why have you told me that?
Well, because you said they weren't terrible in the first
Well,
half.
I couldn't care
The
less
manager-
about the first
Well,
half, 'cause
so
it
you
all
get
happened in the
upset
second
already.
half,
Well,
you
get all
idiot.
upset already.
No.
You said you were in a good mood.
No, I'm in a good mood.
Didn't sound like it.
It was all about the second half. We
Right.
went 2-0 down, then we won 3-2. I mean,
Yeah.
it is spectacular revival and a spectacular result. And by the way, 4,000 Everton fans who travelled didn't half get their hearts lifted tonight, didn't they? And because the comeback in the second half, all 3 goals were at the Everton end,
Yeah.
where all the fans were behind the goal.
West Brom were also weakened in defence, weren't they? They had a couple of very, very
Well, hang on.
important players
Everton had 3 of their main defenders out. Tonight, we
Yeah.
had a
John
literally
Stones,
makicft defence. Yeah,
Seamus Coleman, Leighton
yes.
Baines.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, all missing.
3 players in their places. I mean, it was
West Brom were also-
absolutely spectacular.
West Brom were missing Gareth McCauley and Jonas Olsson.
Yeah, but I mean, we're talking
After he went off.
talking about quality players like Leighton Baines and Seamus Coleman, 2 outstanding internationals, and John Stones,
Yeah.
who's the future England captain.
Yeah, but it's
we're
West Brom
playing in
we're
the
talking
Everton
about.
defence.
I think you're getting too excited.
If you look at Everton's away record, it is spectacular. Played 4, won 2, drawn 2.
I believe until tonight, actually, they hadn't conceded a goal away from home.
Goals conceded 2 over 4 games. How about that? That's half a goal a game.
Well, no,
That's
but I
not
mean,
bad.
they hadn't conceded a goal away until tonight.
No, but they conceded 2 tonight.
I
So
know
if you've
that.
spread 2 over 4,
Yeah.
that's half a goal a game.
Yeah, right.
A spectacular
There's no such thing
performance.
as half a goal, really. Is
What?
there? You can't really say half a goal.
No,
half
no,
a goal
that's
is
what it-
nothing.
that's
half
what
a
it
goal
averages
is neither
out
one
to.
thing nor the other.
That's what it averages out
Well, yeah,
to.
but you don't win by a goal and a half, do you?
No, but haven't you seen statistics these days? They always say, how many goals per game does this guy get? 0.7 or 0.8 or... That's the way they do
Well, that's
stats these
ridiculous.
days. Well, that's the way
rubbish.
they do stats, and I'm
Well,
just trying to
that's
keep
rubbish.
up with modern trends,
Yeah, I
OK?
wouldn't bother if I were you.
Now, we don't want to talk about Everton all night, because although
Certainly not.
I think it's fantastic, and if there's Everton fans still out there, still making their way home from the Midlands, do give us a call, please. You know what the
If
number
they're
is.
still making their way home from the Midlands, they must be
Yeah.
using your directions.
Yeah, well, probably, yeah. They're probably taking the Porky...
They may be stuck in the M69 triangle.
The Porky sat-nav. Yeah, they could be stuck in. It is over in that part of the world. No, actually, the M69 triangle is in the East Midlands, and this is the West Midlands. So if you're in the East Midlands, you're going the wrong way. You need to be going west.
Exactly.
But it was spectacular. What about the rugby, though? What about the rugby?
What about the rugby?
I mean, I've worked out what went wrong. I have worked out what went wrong.
Did I not tell you that basically, I've always been a Wales supporter because of my
rubbish.
time down there. You accused me of being some kind of, traitor to the cause. But, being British, I feel that I can support any team that is part of the British Isles.
Yeah,
And so
you
I
can.
supported Wales, and I was so happy when they won that game. It was a fantastic try they scored just before England made their big mistake.
Yeah.
So what do you mean you know what happened?
I know what happened. I know.
Everybody knows what happened.
No, I know what happened now because
everybody knows what happened.
Old Rob Shaw, made the wrong call, didn't he?
Yeah.
But I'm not criticising the boy for that. I am going to salute him for his bravery.
I'll tell you what, if I may stop you there.
Yes.
Because we might as well get this out of the way now,
Yes.
because we don't want to have sort of a miserable night together. I did hear the start of that show you did over the weekend.
Oh, the one on Sunday?
Clash of the so-called Titans.
The Clash of the Titans, yeah. You weren't invited, I'm afraid.
Well, I couldn't have done it anyway because it was Sunday and, I had other things to do.
Well, you couldn't have done it because you weren't asked to do it.
No,
Because you weren't wanted on that show.
Well, I didn't find out you were
That
doing
was a
it.
show for the men who actually get the facts right, who know what they're talking about, who are on the number, on the button, on the nail.
Right.
And I qualify in all three of those, or all four of those categories.
Let me just give you my opinion. I listened to a bit of it at the start.
Yes.
I thought you hadn't made it in.
Do you think
to
I
be honest.
care about your opinion on a show that I'm doing that you're not in?
I would think you might care
Your
about
opinion will be laced with malice,
Not at all.
envy,
Not at all.
resentment, despair,
I don't want to work on
disappointment.
Sunday. No, absolutely not. No, but to be honest, I thought you weren't there until I heard you piping up about your.
What do you mean you thought I wasn't there? What
Well,
are you
because
talking
I couldn't hear your voice. I couldn't hear you sort of, trying to force your way in. I couldn't hear you sort of, telling people to shut up and pipe down, calling people fat oafs or anything like that. You were like a changed man.
I don't normally do that.
You were a changed man.
Yes.
And so I heard you kind of going on about what a brave decision it was by Bolshaw.
Yes.
And I also...
It wasn't Bolshaw, it was Rob Shaw, actually.
Rob Shaw, sorry. And then I heard you saying later...
Who's Bolshaw?
I don't know. Don't know why I said Bolshaw. There was somebody called Martin Bolshaw, I think, wasn't there?
Yeah, Martin Bolshaw was a rower in the Oxford
Yeah, there you go. I don't know where that
Cambridge
came
boat
from.
race. He was a pupil at my school.
Was he?
Yes.
How? What a coincidence.
Yes.
Anyway, later, it was repeated to me on Twitter, some of the things you did say, right?
Yes.
In which apparently you admitted that you didn't know as much about football as all the other people on there, and you then admitted to Tony Cascarino that you nicked all of his ideas and used them on other shows.
Well, I don't nick all
true?
of them. Don't nick all of them. No, I read his column in the Times, and if I feel it's worthy of repetition, then I sometimes use some of those facts. Tony, by the way, is an avid listener to this show.
Is he really?
Yeah. Well, you know that he's a big cards player.
Yeah.
And he's often out playing the tables and that kind of very successfully, I should say.
I imagine so.
And then they produce a limo for him to get him home, and he always insists on turning to 1089. He's an avid listener of our show, and he thinks my contribution to it in particular is rather splendid.
Well, let's see whether he sends you now a legal letter without giving him any kind of credit for the ideas of his unique.
Yeah, we'll see.
Anyway, so tell us what you've discovered 3 days after the event on what happened with England.
Well, what I discovered was, that the throw-in was too short.
The line out, you mean?
The line out.
Yeah.
It was too short.
Yeah.
Now, if it had gone...
Yeah, but everybody knows that.
See, Rob Shaw leapt up too close to the line and grabbed it, which meant he was then advertising to the Welsh defence, look, roll me over the line, boys, and I'm out the game.
Not true. You know what he was trying to do? Because everybody knew...
He was trying to...
the sensible
get a try.
Well, yeah, but the sensible play would have been to throw it longer, which is what
I was about to say, don't throw it middle, throw it long.
But every
don't
Monday,
throw it short, don't throw it middle, throw it long.
Yeah, but every Monday morning quarterback will now say that because they'll look at it and go, oh, yeah, of course, they should have thrown it long.
That's what I said.
However, he was obviously trying to catch Wales by surprise by throwing it short, grabbing it and just running over the line.
Yes.
Unfortunately, he didn't take into account the fact that the Welsh pack were going to be able to shove them all into touch.
But yeah, bundled him over their line. Absolutely right. And it was a bold call by Rob Shaw. But the problem is, it's all right having bold calls, but if you can't back up your bold calls with bold action, then you are a fool.
Yeah, but you said on that show, did you not, that you thought it was a very brave call?
I thought it was a brave call.
So I mean, you can't really call him brave and stupid at the same time.
Well, I think he was brave and stupid. You can be brave and stupid. What was it that somebody once said about one of our friends?
I don't know. That's a bit of a wide area. That.
The trouble is, he's got bigger balls than he's got brains.
Yes,
that was the expression
about Piers Morgan.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It means that you're bold and you're brave and you go crashing through glass windows and all that kind of stuff. But actually, it might not always be the right thing to do.
No, quite.
I worked it all out, and he clearly got it wrong.
Well, you didn't work it all out at all. You just
watched what happened?
You just watched the analysis of it on television.
No.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't. I studied all the graphics in all the papers over the weekend.
They were analysing it last night.
Now, the other thing you need to know is that... what was I going to say there? Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
You've seen the time.
Rob Shaw got bold because he saw that was what the Japanese did against South Africa.
Got bold?
He got bowled, B-O-L-D.
Oh, I see. I thought you meant bold,
No,
B-O-W-L-E-D.
you idiot. Just keep up, will you? Because he saw that that's what the Japanese did against South Africa, and for them it worked.
Yeah, but, I mean, again, it's all very well for everybody to say they should have taken the 3 points. There's no guarantee that they would have made that conversion anyway.
The economy of the drinking industry in this country could literally now collapse in the next 3 weeks.
How do you mean?
If England lose to Australia.
Well,
do you know
it
pubs
could well happen.
Are so decked out in England sort of paraphernalia and, the flags
I didn't go to
and
a
all
pub
that.
this weekend.
Yeah, well, I did.
Did you?
And I'm telling you, they are reliant on England getting through to at least the semis.
Well, they're the home nation.
Exactly. And I'm telling you, I was speaking to a publican last night, and she said to me, if England go out on Saturday against Australia, she said, we are going to be 500% down in the next 2 weeks in takings.
But can you imagine a worse scenario than having to beat Australia?
That's right.
The old enemy.
That's right.
Who are unpredictable at best.
Aren't they 5-1 on to win Australia?
Well, I mean, the thing is, you can never really... literally anybody could win the game. Anybody could win the game. But it's not the easiest of games. It's probably the most difficult game England will now face.
Oh, I agree, yeah. I agree.
Incredible. Anyway, we've got loads of other things to talk about. I discovered tonight that Wayne Rooney writes poetry. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that,
Okay,
and
well,
I would find that very...
I'm going to tell you all about that.
Very interesting indeed.
And also, we're going
How's
to
the old jalopy, by the way? Hasn't it been in for the MOT today?
It was in
Did
for
it pass?
MOT.
Did it pass?
No, it didn't, actually.
Oh, it failed?
Yeah. Why does that make you laugh? Why does that amuse you so much?
How come it's parked outside our offices if it's an illegal car?
It's not illegal.
You've been driving it around illegally?
The MOT is
This
still
old
valid.
heap,
No,
eh?
the MOT that it currently has is still valid.
Oh, yeah, sure it is. Sure it is. Where's the cops? What's the number? 999.
Yeah, that's the number.
Illegal motors.
Yeah, actually, the real number is 08717 223344. This is Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mikes. There will be a podcast coming out, of course, later on this morning. We've got winners and losers tonight, which is going to be very, very exciting. There's so much action over the course of the weekend. Here's a question for you, Porky, from a listener in Newmarket.
Oh, yes.
Who's a Leyton Orient fan, Matthew.
And what is the question? Will you give MG a lift into work tomorrow because his car has fallen to pieces in the MOT test?
No, my car has not fallen to pieces. You've previously shown your ignorance about MOT tests, because remember when you said that basically my car, without a central mirror, was in some way illegal, when we had the MOT inspector texting us that night to say, actually, you only require 2 mirrors.
But the thing is, you see, for the last 25 years, I've never driven a car that's needed an MOT test.
Well, congratulations.
So of course I don't know much about an MOT test,
right,
okay?
Since you don't know anything about them, then you should stop going on about the fact that it's an illegal car. The MOT
test means it's a wreck.
No, an MOT certificate means that you're, until the expiry date of that certificate, you are still able to drive the car.
It also means if you need...
The expiry date is not until October.
So why did you have it done today?
Because I wanted to have some time, so if there was something
some time
wrong
to buy a new car when this one falls to pieces.
Some time to get whatever was going to be needed to be fixed in time for the previous MOT to run out.
Everybody knows that if your car needs an MOT, it's basically on its last legs.
Rubbish.
Of course it is.
No,
it's fallen to pieces.
Any car over 4 years old has to have an MOT test.
I thought it was 3.
Well, they've moved it to 4 now.
Have they?
So if you actually look outside and when you're driving in, pay attention to other motorists, which I know you don't very often, you will notice that almost every car you see is older than 4 years old.
Is that right?
So you don't know, do you?
Yeah, well, I tend not to notice. I am a very big fan of number plate envy.
Number plate envy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that would fit in with your man of the people sort of snobbery.
I will soon have a car with a 65 number on it, the very most recent one.
But you haven't got a car like that.
Eh?
You haven't got a car like that.
No, I will have very soon.
Oh, good. Well, so you keep saying. It's a bit like the picture of you and Joan Collins. I believe it when I see it.
Yeah. And I believe in that because that makes me...
So how old is the plate that you currently have?
2 years. It's 63.
63?
Yeah. So I think that starts to look a bit dated.
Like a German
well, no, but that's what I'm saying.
Well, so does that make you feel inferior because your car's 2 years old then?
Yeah, a bit, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I prefer to be right up to date, yeah.
You see, I would feel inferior if I drove a car like yours rather than I wouldn't worry too much about the number plate because it's just a rubbish car.
No, it's not. It's a very efficient car. It doesn't need an MOT.
It's like a salesman's car.
Well, it doesn't need an MOT, mate.
It doesn't matter.
Well, yours is like a tramp's car.
You've spent thousands
Do you know
more.
what? Well, you know what?
You've spent thousands on your car, right?
Yeah.
I've spent hardly any money on my car.
Yeah. What you should do is, now that car's failed its MOT, give it to some homeless bum on some rubbish tip and he can sleep in it. Can't he? Hey? Hey, why not? Why not?
You're like some kind of demented buffoon.
I think that's a great idea. Give it to charity.
My car...
The only problem is charity would give it you back.
My car, for the sake of a few £100 being spent on it, will go for another couple of years, maybe another 4 years,
Is it worth spending a couple £100 on?
You've told me... Well, yeah, of course it is. You've told me you're going to buy a new car that's worth about 45 grand.
43, actually.
£43,000, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, the amount of pleasure that you get from that, which is all in your head, is ridiculous compared to the amount of money that I would have spent. I would have spent on this car something like, I don't know, a 40th of what you've spent on two cars.
Yes, but
in 2 years.
But it makes me feel good. It's like if you wear a decent suit. If you
haven't got a decent suit.
I've
got
plenty of decent suits. If you wear a decent suit, you feel good in a room full of smart people. And if you've got a decent car, you feel good.
When have you ever been in a room full of smart people?
I'm in rooms full of smart people all the time. And it means if you've got a decent car, you feel good on in an established road with good cars in. How could you ever drive your car down a road where people lived in big houses who had things like, Range Rovers, baby Bentleys, Mercedes and all that. And
it is a Mercedes.
But it's a 15-year-old Mercedes. It's fallen to pieces, got dents in the bonnet. It's failed its MOT
it's 14
test.
Years old, actually.
What did they say was wrong with it, by the way?
Well, it's very complicated. It's
tell me.
I don't really understand, to be honest.
What did they say?
It's all
I'll
about,
tell you. I'll let you know.
Well, I can give you the rundown. I've got the sheet
What did it say?
But it's all about roll bars, it's sort of suspension.
Oh,
and
my
things
God.
called bushes.
Not the subframe.
It's got something called bushes.
Bushes?
Which are apparently unique to Mercedes because most other cars do not have things called bushes.
And what do bushes do?
I'm not really sure, but they have...
And roll bars? What do you need a roll bar for? Is it because it's such a wreck now? It's liable any minute to flip over.
It's the roll bar underneath the car, not on top of the car.
No, roll bars go on top of the car to stop you crushing your head when it rolls over.
No, not according to the mechanics.
It's pathetic.
Anyway, they're going to fix it up. It'll be good as new.
Fix it up? It's not worth fixing up.
It is worth fixing up.
If it was a horse, it would have been shot this morning.
If I wanted to buy a car, an equivalent car, the new version of that, it would cost about 50 grand.
Of course it would, yeah. But I mean, then you'd have a decent car, not an old jalopy.
Well, we'll find out whether you're right and I'm wrong when the emissions problem starts to hit some other German motor car manufacturers. And you get landed with a massive bill. I hope you have to then take it back.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm not going to be caught out. I'm smarter than the average bear. The last time I saw a car like that being driven in any seriousness, the driver was Jethro from the Beverly Hillbillies. That's the last time I saw a car like that. I'm telling you, folks, I'm going to take a picture of this car and send it to you. Believe me.
It's a very comfortable car. We'll try not to put the number plate out, OK, if you're going to do that.
Yes.
Unlike the last time when you took a picture of me pouring a bottle of champagne on a train and you managed to include my credit card in it.
That's
so
right,
if you're going to take a picture,
yeah.
would you mind trying to retain my privacy, please?
Did anybody nick your number and get a few more bottles of champagne
Luckily, nobody spends more than I do on that card.
No.
Now, let me ask you this question, which I wanted to ask you from Matthew, the Leyton Orient fan.
Okay.
It's a serious question to Mr. Parry. Can you ask Porky Parry, because this is at the top of my head, did Everton come from 2-0 down against West Bromwich Albion to win 3-2 in the 1966 FA Cup final?
No. That was Sheffield Wednesday.
Oh, OK. They played stripes, though, don't they? That's the other reason.
No, they didn't play in white that day.
Who?
Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah, but they do play in stripes, though.
They do. Normally play in blue and white stripes. No. That day they had white on. I know I was there.
Playing stripes this weekend.
Yes, they did, yes.
That's the other reason you shouldn't be surprised in West Brom, because all teams in stripes are losers, according to you, as of last weekend.
Well, I didn't say. I said the bottom three teams were all losing. By the way, it's miserable times up in the North East, isn't it? Even when Newcastle thought they had an advantage, they threw it away.
Well, they still got a point, though, didn't they? Now, how about this one from Dominic? Who says, Mike Graham, make your mind up. I thought you were Scottish. No doubt if England would have won, you would now be waxing lyrical about the success of Scotland over the weekend.
Yeah.
Still a great show, though.
Now you decided you're Welsh.
I've always said that I'm British, right? However, I did explain, if you were listening last week, that I've got a great affinity with Welsh rugby. I always have had, and I always will have, because of the time that I spent there and the way that I immersed myself in that part of culture in South Wales.
Listen, old Jose's getting all sort of, head blown off type stuff again. Look at this. Improve or I'll play kids, Jose warns Blue Stars. Jose Mourinho's delivered a stinging attack on the motivation design company of his Chelsea players. I mean, he is looking for publicity every day. Now, in the programme I did yesterday, which was a pure football programme...
We're not going to have to talk about that programme all the time.
No, it's the one that you weren't invited to take part in, OK?
Right.
because for obvious reasons, we needed experts in that show, not amateurs. And I did tell the boys...
what you were doing there, then?
I did tell the boys that in my view, it's only my theory, I still think Jose is smarting from the fact he's not Manchester United manager. I think
I'll tell you what, he's behaving very strangely.
He's behaving very oddly. You seem to think he's trying to work himself out of a job.
Well, there's no other explanation for me. I just think, well, for whatever reason, something has happened at Chelsea which we don't know, which involves, the way that he treated that physiotherapist. Something has happened over the course of the summer. It might even be the Stones deal, which he obviously wanted very, very badly. And I think he was unhappy with the way they went about it because he thought that they were going to go and get Stones.
Yes.
He knew that there was a weakness inside the Chelsea defence, and John Terry is on his last legs, literally. And I just think something's happened between him and Mr. Abramovich, which has caused him to want out.
Here's a question for you. I spoke to somebody over the weekend who said to me, in all seriousness, I do hope that Dr. Eva does not settle for a big payoff and walk away from Chelsea. And I said, why? And they said they think that the issue is so serious with Jose and his horrible treatment of a female doctor that it must go to a court hearing so that all the facts can be outlined. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's better not to wash your dirty laundry in public, to be honest.
I totally agree. I can see the point.
Once you start lifting the lid on what goes on in companies and behind the scenes, I think, that is not right. And if she's been treated unfairly, I think that she gets compensated for that. She should walk away. I
think you could well be right. The other thing is, in the show that I did yesterday, to which you were invited to take part in...
Can I just read you this from William? He says, I'm a bit late joining you both. Hello, MG, and hello to the true titan of broadcast radio, Mike Parry.
Oh, thank you very much. Who's that from?
From William.
William sounds like a man who's smarter than the average bear.
I'm not sure if he means
it.
Yes,
excellent. No, what I was going to say is that one particular participant, Mr. Charlie White from the Sun newspaper, football editor.
Did you talk to him about that story you wrote about Pep Guardiola going to play for England or to be manager of England?
No, we didn't actually. Because
did you tell him you rubbished it?
Well, it's his complete tosh in my view.
Well, you didn't tell him that to his face.
No. Did he write it?
Yeah.
Did he? Oh, I didn't know that. No, honestly, I didn't know that.
It's typical behaviour from you.
No. I'm not throwing doubt on that story if he wrote it. I'm saying that I think it's a crazy thing to do. Because I don't want Pep Guardiola at £10 million a year as a manager. No, thank you. As manager of England, no thanks. No, what I was saying is there is an increasingly strong feeling amongst correspondents who cover Chelsea a lot that Jose will not be there this time next year, that he will not be there at the end of the season.
I wouldn't be at all surprised. I wouldn't be at all surprised. A couple of people who don't think understand this show. Here's one from Jack, who says, so what if they're 4 points off relegation? That's actually, both teams were going into the game in the exact same form from the last 5 games.
Yes, that's right.
Nick says, he must be one of your followers, this guy.
Yes.
Pathetic to talk league positions in September, and your photo is worse. My God, you're ugly. You give everyone hope.
Who's that, you?
I think he's talking about me.
Yeah, well, I think he is. Your picture isn't very flattering, is it? You keep changing it anyway. What was that pink picture of yours all about?
What do you mean, what was it all about?
Well, up till recently, you had a pink... Well, what was the pink sort of wash in it? What was it?
I was no washing it. I was wearing a pink shirt.
No, there was a pink glow to the whole picture.
No, I was wearing a pink shirt.
Anyway, tell us about your blood moon escapade over the weekend, please.
Have you not seen the time?
I want to hear about your blood...
No,
you got up bladderated in the middle of the night, staggered out.
Not true.
Didn't realise you were looking at a blood moon because you thought it was your bloodshot eyes.
No, it wasn't.
You were looking at it through bloodshot eyes.
Unfortunately, you missed it because you were in a coma by that stage, right?
No, I was not. I was up all night on Saturday.
Oh, really? Well, shame it was Sunday night.
Sorry, Sunday. Yeah, I was up most of the night, believe me, working,
well, I didn't see any
things.
pictures from you.
I did take a picture of the moon.
Yeah,
but
you
it was
take a picture of the blood moon.
No, it was bright...
it was before the eclipse.
Bright yellow, I think it was, or bright white, something like that. But, yes, I know, but then it moved behind the clouds where I was.
You had clouds?
It did, yeah, we had clouds,
really?
yeah, cloud cover, yeah,
I see.
yeah.
Okay.
No, definitely, I'm telling you.
All right.
Don't cast aspersions on my astrological observationary powers.
Yeah, well, apparently you were asleep. That's why you didn't send any pictures out. You didn't respond to any of the ones I sent out.
Nussendormer.
What?
Nussendormer.
What does it mean?
Means we do not sleep. It's like Costa Nostra, that which is ours.
Costa Nostra?
That's the mafia.
Cosa Nostra.
Yeah. Cosa Nostra Nessendorma.
Yeah, right.
That which is ours, we do not sleep. When we sleep, we only sleep with the fishes.
Yeah, very good. We've got Owen Coyle coming up next.
Owen Coyle.
What do we make of that? This is Talk Sport.
He knows sleep with the fishes.
very stirring piece of music, that, isn't it? What are you doing with your headphones? Hey?
They're,
what are you doing?
They're malfunctioning.
Are they?
Yeah. They keep popping on me. It's like, I tell you what happens. You know when you dive into a swimming pool and then you come up to the surface again and then the water won't come out of your ear and you go sort of deaf.
Have you got water in the ear then?
Well, no, I haven't got water in my ear, you idiot. I'm telling you what's wrong with my headphones.
Well, what's wrong with them? They're cheap and nasty.
No, they're not. No, they're not. They're very expensive.
Well, you're
very expensive. They're very expensive. And then what happens is you turn your head one way and then the water drains from behind some blockage in your ear.
Oh, yeah.
But then when you turn it the other way, it comes back in. It's like a what's that thing called that goes up and down in a pressure cylinder sort of thing?
What?
What's it called?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
No.
Like a cylinder?
You mean in a barometer?
No. I mean like a valve. It's like a valve in your ear.
Oh, you mean one of those things in a spirit level?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, and it sort of switches on and switches off your hearing. So it's a bit frustrating.
So does that mean you're only going to hear half the show then?
No. I hear it, but I might only hear it in one ear for periods, and then it clicks back in. So I'm going to have to get it
sorted. We'll try and concentrate because we've got Owen Coyle who's currently managing the Houston Dynamo over in MLS.
Excellent.
And he knows an awful lot about the pressures of Premier League football. And I just want to thank him very much for coming on. Owen, a very good morning to you. Thanks very much for joining us.
It's a pleasure, boys. Glad to be chatting with you.
Yeah, listen.
Great to have you on.
I don't know if you had a chance to see the Everton game tonight for you, last night for us. But the Premier League's certainly thrown up a few surprises this year so far.
Yeah, it has. I mean, I think, in fairness, when you look at the build-up to the season, obviously with the new TV deal and the finances coming in, I mean, what so-called smaller clubs have been able to invest in, I think, some very good players. I mean, I think you look at the likes of Johan Cabaye at Crystal Palace, that type of star. I mean, that boy, for me, could play in any of the top teams, and I think that strengthened a lot of the smaller and mid-table clubs, as it was called in the Premier League, and it's really, it's led to an ultra-competitive Premier League.
I think also, Owen, aren't we going to see over the next 12 months, now that the new TV deals come in, that the gap between the mega-rich clubs and those who are not lucky enough to have billionaire owners is being reduced massively? I think that's probably why Everton didn't feel they had to sell John Stones for up to 36 or 38 million, because now it's not a question of the haves and have-nots. Most clubs have got quite a bit.
Well, I think that's a great point, because I think you're right. I think if that would have happened a year, 2 years ago, then John Stones, as far as I'm concerned, would probably be a Chelsea player. But, you've got to give kudos to Everton, Roberto, sticking by their guns, knowing that the finances coming in, and they didn't have to sell such a young, talented player.
Sure.
And I've got to say, from my own personal opinion, I think he's better served at Everton just now anyway, as he continues to grow, continues to develop. And I think you'll see him being a fixture also in the England side. So, but I think you're right. I think it goes back to the point you've mentioned, that hopefully, it's going to bring some parity to the league, that the smaller clubs can hold on to the best players and try and build teams. And I know that from my own experience, when you've had to, I was a guy, Gary Cahill moved to Chelsea, because we were never going to be in a position at Bolton to hang on to him, and players of that standard. So it would be nice if these so-called smaller clubs in the Premier League, although they're still big clubs, can hang on to the best players.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that.
That's one of the things that we're going to see, isn't it, over time, as you were mentioning. Once this big TV money comes into many of what you might call the smaller teams, they're going to have a lot more money to spend. Exactly. And also, if you were John Stones and you had gone to Chelsea, you'd be feeling pretty stupid now, wouldn't you, because you're down the bottom of the league.
Well, you might have helped to improve the team, but it can ruin a young player's career, and can't it, going too soon? I mean, I go way back as an Evertonian to Francis Jeffers leaving Everton and going to Arsenal and disappearing off the face of the earth, to Jack, what's his name? Rodwell, thank you very much, who went to City and then on to Sunderland. And if Steven Gerrard advised Ross Barkley of Everton at the last England get-together, stick with Everton for at least another year, at least 2 years. That's where you'll get your grounding amongst your mates in the team that embraced you as a teenager.
Well, I mean, I understand why players want to play for the elite clubs. I do, but you're right. There's a certain time that when they've outgrown that club, then that's the time for them to move on. But I think when they do that, then they're ready to go to those clubs and play week in, week out. The difficult one, as you've mentioned there, is when they're talented and and people buy their talent and invest in their potential, when they're not quite ready to play for the Chelsea, the Manchester United and clubs like that, and then really their career stagnates. It kind of plateaus out instead of that continue to improve. And I think the points you made are all relative. I think there's a time and a place for people moving it. Sometimes it can be too soon, and you better stay at your club, continue to improve, and get into a level then when you go to those clubs that you're going to play week in, week out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, looking at the Premier League now, Owen, you've been out of it for a couple of years. The pressures on managers we keep hearing are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Being in a job for 3 years it makes you a bit of a veteran. What have you made of what Brendan Rodgers has been sort of put under and what he's been saying about it? I mean, he came out after the win at the weekend against Aston Villa saying that basically, he thinks there's a sort of cabal of people trying to get him out of Liverpool.
Well, I think ultimately when when all said and done, there's 20 clubs in the Premier League, and for me it's the 20 best jobs, and I know people say Barcelona and Real Madrid and everything else, but in terms of a league, for me
Nope. We just lost Owen there. I can read you a couple of tweets in the meantime. Here's one from Mark in Bristol, which is, I'd just like to say, wow, Porkster, you're on fire tonight. I haven't laughed so much for ages. Poor old MG, he's had it in the neck about his car. Yeah. Thanks for cheering me up.
Oh, that's okay, mate, but I only tell the truth. The fact that we've got a heap of junk parked outside the front of TalkSport Towers. By the way, have you asked the security officer downstairs on the front that if anybody comes along with a tow truck trying to tow it away because it's been reported...
Why would they do that?
Well, it's been reported as a disabled, non-functioning wreck.
No,
that's what it looks like.
I think you'll find that it's a perfectly decent car, which has got a valid MOT.
Mike, it's not a perfectly decent car.
Very, very roadworthy.
I know a perfectly decent car when I see one.
My car
that is not a perfectly decent car.
My car will be going a lot longer than anything you ever buy.
I tell you what, I hope you never arrive in that car here at TalkSport Towers in daylight, because the chances of you and I then progressing to do other things will be zero.
Is that
Your
right?
reputation will be shredded.
Is that right?
As a bum who drives around in a tin can.
Yeah, well, how about this from Joe in the Forest of Dean? He says, hi, Porky, I live in the country. I make cider and I service all sorts of things on a regular basis. I drive a 17-year-old Peugeot. Yeah. And you should come up here and shake a few trees with me, and I'll fix you up. I'm not sure what
and where's up here?
Forest of Dean.
Forest of Dean, that's in Gloucestershire.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, that's not a bad invitation. But the point is, it's fine having a...
The trouble is, you're upsetting many more people out there. Because not everybody can afford to drive a £43,000 car, OK? Not everybody can afford to pay £500 a month for a new car every 3 years. So you're actually turning more people off who drive old cars because not only do they like them, but that's all they can afford to drive. No.
Can I just say this? To have a 17-year-old Peugeot, which you throw tons of apples into the back of to drive around your cider farm and take them to the cider press so that people can jump up and down on them and create cider, that's all right.
It's very demeaning, that is.
Well, no, it's not. It's not. That is all right. That is all right.
Very condescending. Owen's back, I think.
Excellent.
So, Owen, listen, sorry about that.
Hiya, boys.
Yeah. We were just in the middle of your thoughts about Brendan Rodgers. Sorry, can you tell us them again?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, when you're the manager of one of the elite clubs in world football, which Liverpool are, then I think we all understand what's involved in that job. And I think, if truth be told, I think Brendan has been a victim of his own success in respect of he's raised the bar coming into Liverpool after some barren years and gets them going, nearly win the league, and we all thought they were all set to do that. And then when you lose the likes of a Suarez and Sturridge, I mean, it's not rocket science to understand if you lose game winners at the top end of the pitch. You look at the Everton game tonight. If Everton don't have Lukaku, they don't win that game. And ultimately, the elite clubs have these match winners. Sometimes they don't have to play particularly well to win, because they've got boys at the top end of the pitch can win. And when you lose a Suarez and a Sturridge, and I think, if truth be told, Liverpool never performed to the standard they have in that year. And that's, I think, has been a difficult bit at Liverpool, because they've raised the expectation of everybody, and then when it falls down, you have to try and raise that quickly. I think with Daniel coming back in, as you've seen on Saturday, what a difference he makes to the team. And I think you'll see Liverpool picking up again. Yeah,
I think you could well be right. They're playing Everton on Saturday, so I hope it starts after that. Owen.
Sunday they're playing them.
On Sunday, sorry, Goodison, that's right. Owen, just wanted to ask you this, please. What do you think is wrong with Jose Mourinho? He's been an unhappy, whinging, moaning, grumbling man since the start of the season. He's had clashes with his doctors. He's now threatening on the back pages of newspapers tomorrow to drop the whole team and bring the kids in. If you can't do it, I'll find people who can. I mean, he's not a happy man, and he told us all he was coming back to Chelsea because he wanted to go somewhere where he was loved. But he doesn't sound as though he's feeling very loved at the moment.
Well, I think he's the same as the rest of us. When you're not winning, it can be a lonely job. But I've got to say, I mean, I think we know his track record. We know how good a manager is, and they'll turn that round. Chelsea will be banging their fight for those honours this year again. But he's obviously been through, as you do, everything in his repertoire to try and get a reaction, trying to get the players back to the level they're at. And if that means falling out with people, because when all said and done, his only desire now is to get Chelsea back on track. All the stuff on the periphery, the outside noise. As much as he'll give you sound bites here and there, he's focused on getting his team back. He's got the champions. They're champions for a reason. I've got to say, I love his interviews. I love listening to him because I think you're always going to be getting something from it. Whether people, think, oh, well, he's a bit arrogant, this or that. For me, I like the way he goes about it in most aspects. Not all, I would say, in most aspects. But for him, he'll just be driven to get that success again for Chelsea.
Yeah. And let's ask you finally, Owen, about Houston. How are you getting on there? You're not a million miles off the playoffs. The season's almost over. What's the first year been like for you?
I've got to say, it's been a tremendous learning curve. As much as we know wherever you go in the world, it's 11v11. Just culturally, some of the little intricacies within the league. The biggest thing I've got to say is, we played 61 games at Burnley the year we get promoted, and with the cup competitions, and with the fewest number of players we used that season. But when you come to the MLS, we play 34 league games. But every game, you recall it a road trip, but every game, the away game, it's like a game in Europe because we're flying 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. You change time zones, you play in altitude, and so it really takes a toll on the players. So it's been finding how to obviously get the balance between the training, the travel, and such forth. But the league itself is growing, as you know. I mean, obviously, it's well versed about since David Beckham came in, and now Stevie G and Robbie Keane and boys like that. But the other thing they're doing now, not only outstanding players that have world-class careers, but they're also bringing in the Giovincos from Juventus, who's in his prime. Players like that. They've obviously Kaká's come in. They've brought a lot of the US internationals back in the league. Clint Dempsey, Jermaine Jones. So it's really growing. There's no doubt about it. It's still got a bit to go to get to the Premier League level, but it's certainly on track to be one of the top leagues in world football. And I would say in the next 5 or so years.
And how you liking Houston? It's a great city, isn't it? I
like it. Yeah, I always think when you encounter nice people, then you've always got a chance. And I found that in my time at Burnley, Bolton. Lovely people. The fans outstanding, the people that run the club and get on everything else. And I found that here in Houston. It's obviously hot, as you know. The humidity is incredible. We played sometimes in the summer there. It was like 95 degrees and such forth. So from that respect, then obviously I'm at the side watching that as opposed to running about. But it can take its toll. Actually, it was funny because just for a quick note while we were on, when we played the Galaxy, and I think it was Stevie G's, I think it was his third or fourth game, and he came off the pitch and said, "Do you just play that every home game?" Because you could see physically to play for 95 minutes and 95 degrees with the humidity, it's going to take its toll on anybody. Fortunately for us, it was great. We managed to win the game 3-0. But I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Real nice people. A brilliant club. We've got a state-of-the-art all-seater stadium that was built 2 years ago, and everything really in the country is on the up. The biggest thing is the size of the country. Sure. Texas alone, where we're based, is nearly 3 times the size of the UK.
Wow,
so it kind of puts
it
kind of puts into context in terms of the travel and everything else. But the league's getting better. The stadiums, it's now soccer-specific stadiums, as they call them here, and it's really on the up. But it's always great as well for us because we're 6 hours behind. So I still get to watch all the Premier League games and the Championship as they're coming in. So, and I love that game earlier tonight. West Brom and Everton. I just thought, particularly in the second half, I thought first half kind of cancelled each other out, but second half really livened up. When you see the quality and show some very good players.
Fantastic stuff.
Indeed, Owen. Great to hear you on the show again. Thank you very much indeed. Best of luck in hot Houston.
It's a pleasure, boys. Thanks. Lovely chatting with you.
Yeah, talk to you again soon. Owen Coyle, manager of the Houston Dynamos.
It is. You've been to Houston, have you?
Of course I have.
It's boiling. Yeah. I mean, and so dry as well because of the humidity. It is, in fact, the place...
So dry because of the humidity?
Yes, that's right.
Are you sure that's what you mean?
Yeah. Oh, no, so humid because of the humidity. That's what I mean. Yeah. But it's very, very hot. It's very hot.
We're running very late now.
That's where I first met my mate Bill.
Your mate Bill?
Clinton.
Oh, dear.
The Prez.
Have you got a picture?
No.
Talk Sport.
He finds the corner of the net.
Extraordinary stamina, energy and skill. Get your tickets now. Talk Sport.
Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes. We've got loads going on. Wins and losers coming up. By the way, your favourite NFL team are playing tonight, Mr. Parry. The Green Bay Packers.
Green Bay Packers.
They're 7-0 up against the Kansas City Chiefs.
The Packers.
Yeah.
OK, come on.
Do you know what state the Kansas City Chiefs are from?
Let's go Crackers with the Packers. What are you laughing at?
Quite.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, who's the other team?
Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, they'll be from Kansas then, won't they?
No, they're not actually.
What do you mean?
From Missouri.
What are you on about?
They come from Kansas. Yeah, there's two Kansas cities. Right?
Yeah, of course
Kansas City, Kansas.
Yes.
There's Kansas City, Missouri.
Well, that's right next door.
Yeah.
It's only a bridge separates
Doesn't
them.
matter. They're in Missouri, though.
I've been to both, so it doesn't matter.
Well, they're not from Kansas.
Well,
they're not in Kansas
it's
anymore.
technical, isn't it? Technicality.
Now, talking of technicalities on the car front, Richard says Corky's thinking of a roll cage, not a roll bar.
Oh, right.
So a roll bar is something that's underneath the car.
I'm not sure about
Bill
that.
says, how can Mr. Aloof Porkmeister feel superior in his 43k car whilst wearing £4.50 cargo shorts out of Matalan?
I beg your pardon? I've never been to Matalan in my life. Don't even know where it is.
Are you sure?
Yeah, certain. The shorts I do sometimes wear, but I only wear them at home, I got from Walmart in Germany in 2006. Can you believe that? Can you believe that?
In Germany?
In Germany, yeah.
Where'd you buy them?
In Walmart, in Germany.
Walmart?
Walmart.
Do you mean Walmart?
Well, Wal, it's spelled W-A-L, isn't it? You know, new word Mart, isn't it?
Well, so is the Berlin Wal, but I mean...
But hang on, the Americans pronounce Moscow as Moscow, don't they? Because it's C-O-W, cow.
What's that got to do with it?
Well, Wal is W-A-L, Walmart, but, you know...
They call it Walmart in America.
I'll tell you how it came about.
They don't call it Walmart.
Listen, we were staying in this little German town outside Frankfurt, right? Because, 26 of us, you know, from Talk Sport.
26 of you?
Yeah, so we took over...
We were only one house or so, were you?
No, took over this little hotel, as I say, in this little town outside. It was fantastic, really. We became like local residents for 6 weeks, you know, during the World Cup, and went and visited all the local
that must have been
beer cellars,
being in close proximity to so many people all the time.
No, not really. No, it was we all worked different shifts, and we're all travelling off to games all over Germany and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, point is, when I got there, I only took winter clothes. Because everybody told me it's cold in Germany, even in summer, you know.
What?
Yeah, seriously, yeah.
Have you never watched the Hoffenheim racing?
Well, I suppose I should have watched a bit more of it. But anyway, so I get there and I thought, God, it's boiling here. What am I going to do? You know, I've only got like jeans and jumpers and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. No, actually not a jumper. I haven't worn a jumper for about 30 years, actually. But
I've never seen you in a jumper.
No, I don't.
How about cardigans?
No, not a cardigan, no.
How about a tank top?
No, not me. So anyway, to cut the long story short, so I said to the girl, look, I'm going to need some new clothes. I said, do you have any shops in this town? And what's the problem?
Shops?
Yeah. Well, they didn't. It was only a small town, you know. Didn't really have a clothes shop.
Small towns have shops.
Not a clothes shop. So she said, yes. She said, yes, sir.
Was she Dutch then?
No. She said, you will go to Walmart. And
you didn't say Walmart then?
No, Walmart. And I wondered what she was talking about.
Yeah.
And I said, well, where is it? She said, you go out to the hotel, you turn left, you walk down the road.
She was Dutch, wasn't she?
Sorry?
She was Dutch.
No, and it's 2 miles on the right.
Right.
I thought she was mad.
Yeah.
Anyway, I duly did that. And I turned the corner, and there was this huge warehouse. I mean, like an aircraft hangar. I thought, what's this? And it said Walmart.
Was it like just a big store, like they have in America?
It was America's attempt to spread Walmart to Germany. They'd already bought Asda in this country, right, to extend their empire, but they decided to take the brand name onto continental Europe. It didn't last, by the way.
Didn't it?
So anyway, I went in there and I bought loads of shorts and shirts and everything. I've still got the shorts. I only wear them indoors now, but I've still got them.
Yeah, I wouldn't have bought any clothes at Walmart if I'd been...
Well, it was the only place I could buy them, but it was amazing. Anyway...
you should have gone into Frankfurt.
What?
You should have gone into Frankfurt.
Well, I was in and out of Frankfurt all day because that's where our broadcasting studio was.
That's where you should have bought
the trains were very efficient. We used to walk down, you know, just like half a mile from the little hotel we were in to the station. There was a train into Frankfurt main station every 7 minutes, and our broadcasting studio was just like 100 yards from the station.
Fantastic place, Frankfurt. I went there because I had to try and get myself onto a flight that was dropping, you know, what they called military ready-to-eat meals to Bosnian refugees, US Air Force.
Yes.
And I had to get to Frankfurt because that's where the flights were going from.
That would have been at Wiesbaden.
No, they've flown out of Frankfurt.
Oh, I thought Wiesbaden.
Frankfurt has got a civil airport, but it's they've also got a military part.
Well, the military airport's called Wiesbaden. No, that's where the hostages came back when they were all released, like Terry Waite and all that lot. They were, because I went there for it.
Well, they may have used Wiesbaden for that, but that's not what I was going out of. I was going out of Frankfurt Airport.
Yeah.
And for the first 3 or 4 days I stayed there, I was in the modern part of Frankfurt, you know, and I didn't realise that there was an old part of Frankfurt until about day 3, when I got a bit bored walking around the set because I was one of those waiting jobs. just had to wait to see whether you could get on a plane.
Yes.
And I found the Old Town, and I don't know if you ever were over in that part, but it's across the river.
Yes.
They've got a beautiful art gallery.
That's right.
Some Van Gogh there, and they had some Monets as well, some originals.
Yeah.
And they had these amazing kind of cafes where you would go and
Cafes?
sit. I can see that you're not at all interested in the story.
I am.
Where you would sit like on these long benches.
Oh, long benches,
and it didn't matter whether you were with somebody or not. You would have loved it, because instead of having a table for one, you basically sat on a table for 10.
Well, all these sort of strange German strangers to come and sit down with you.
No, they weren't strange.
Yeah.
You would sit with people, and it was a very kind of,
wouldn't have got me sitting with them.
It was a very all-inclusive experience.
Bunch of Teutonic.
And do you know what they drink there, though?
We need to tell the audience why we played Nile Rodgers.
Why are you interrupting my story?
Because you're not following the flow of what we're doing.
Well, hang on. We'll get to Nile Rodgers in a minute, right?
Go on.
Do you know what they drink there?
They drink beer.
No, they don't. The speciality of Frankfurt is not beer.
What is it?
It's apple wine.
Apple wine. Do me a favour.
It is.
Stroll on. When did you last see an orchard in Frankfurt? I've never seen the orchards in Frankfurt.
It's wine they drink.
The orchards are in orchard places, like
orchard
the Middle East and all that sort of stuff.
You think apples don't grow in... you think apples grow in the Middle East?
Yeah, of course they do.
You don't think they grow here?
Of course, they do somewhere. They do sometimes. Well,
sometimes.
Funny you should say that. Funny you should say that. I've read today that the cider industry in this country is booming, and there are. Oh, yeah, I know what it is.
Yeah, go on.
The weather conditions for growing of apples this year is perfect.
Right. Well, just like the Middle East.
Yeah, and the apple crop has never been more bountiful.
Yeah, well, there you are.
It's like 19,000 tons of apples a day are being produced, or something like that.
Wow,
it's amazing.
Maybe we should start drinking cider.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so I'd sit in this sort of restaurant, and they would give you sauerkraut and frankfurters, of course, because you're in Frankfurt,
and then and 10 litres of your apple wine.
Well, no, the thing was they just had a big tray of these glasses of apple wine, and you would go up and basically just take as many as you wanted, and at the end you had to tell them how many you'd had. And it wasn't always easy to remember.
No, because you'd say 3, and you'd had 7.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I could never, after about 3 or 4 of them, because they serve it in a big half-pint glass.
You couldn't remember.
I wasn't sure.
That's disgraceful. And you were being paid to work as a professional journalist, and all you did was go on a mission of bladderation around Frankfurt.
No, because I
disgrace.
I actually ended up going on this plane, and they had to teach us how to jump.
I'm surprised they let you on. Well, usually when you're drunk, they don't let you on aeroplanes.
Well, you've got the most experience of that, I
imagine. No, I haven't got any experience of that at all.
Well, you've never got off a plane, have you, except on a stretcher?
Did you slap a parachute on your back and say, "OK, fellas, I'll go next"?
Actually, they had to teach me. They had to teach me what to do if the plane was shot at by a Serb missile.
Yeah, well,
and they said, "This is what you're going to have to do. We'll be throwing you out of the plane."
Yeah, well,
you'd never done that. You'd be too frightened.
If they'd have thrown you out of the plane, mate, there'd be a big crater somewhere over Germany right now, wouldn't there?
We were flying over Bosnia. They weren't throwing you out over Germany.
Yeah, but you had to. Well, hang on, you had to.
Such a plank.
That's all. If you took off in Frankfurt, you were flying over German airspace, weren't you? Before you got to Bosnia.
Yeah, but there aren't any Serbs in German airspace, you idiot.
Ah, well, missiles go a long way.
Yeah, right. More a longer way than you did in your Ford
And we were playing
Fiesta.
Nile Rodgers and freak out because I saw a great programme on it the other night, which we'll talk about later.
Well, hold on to it. Is that your device going off?
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it is.
Maybe that is your brain or something. Or maybe his pacemaker. This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. There will, of course, be a podcast coming out a little bit later on this morning. Mr. Parry wanted to tell us all about Nile Rodgers just before the news, so go ahead and tell us. I apologise for keeping you waiting.
No, don't worry about that. I will in a minute. Don't forget that, there's so much sport we've got to talk about. The rugby and Everton getting on tonight and all that kind of stuff. We can refresh ourselves on that in a minute.
Yeah,
but
right.
Nile Rodgers, right, while I was sitting up... watching the Blood Moon the other night, or looking for it, because it got covered in clouds in my part of the world. Yeah, unfortunately.
That's a shame, because it was actually very spectacular.
Yes. Well, I saw it earlier on, but then it got sort of, as I say, cloud cover. But anyway, so...
I actually watched the eclipse as it happened.
Did you? Yeah, that's spectacular. Amazing. But you were bladderated, weren't you?
No, I wasn't, no.
That's why you got up. You got up in the middle of the night. You didn't deliberately get up to watch it.
No, I didn't. I woke up... your alarm? No, I woke up by accident at about 3:45.
Yeah, well, that's what happens to people who go to bed when they're drunk.
No,
they have.
No, I wasn't at all drunk.
They have disturbed sleep.
I'd had a very large roast dinner at about 6
and a very large amount of drink.
And I'd had a couple of glasses of wine, no more than that.
Couple of glasses, do me a favour.
No, I wasn't at all
Stroll on.
Wasn't at all
anyway, what I was going to say was, so I happened upon this thing on, one of these arts programmes about a guy called Nile Rodgers, who I've never heard of.
You've never heard of Nile Rodgers?
Never heard of Nile Rodgers.
Unbelievable.
And then I'm watching it, and all of a sudden I realised that he was actually the man who invented disco music, more or less. Well, him and the Bee Gees.
Well, you could say that, I suppose.
Yeah, he did.
He certainly invented a particular sound.
And he revived groups like Sister Sledge, were just like a half-baked collection of girls who couldn't really, make a sound that was commercial until he got hold of them and then produced those fantastic records. We Are Family, We're Lost in Music, all that kind of stuff, But he's done 40 or 50 different hit records over the years.
And he's still doing it as well.
He's still doing it. And in fact, he headlined at Glastonbury about a year ago or 2 years ago or something like that in his own right. And for the first time ever, he came forward and said, I'm the guy who wrote all these records. He wrote some fantastic records. Now, the one that really... everybody will remember, I think it's been voted as the greatest disco record ever, right? Yeah. Like disco music and that kind of stuff, was Freak Out. Now, can we hear a bit of that again? Has John got that for us? The old Freak Out, just to...
If he's listening to it.
Yeah, I just need to tell you something about it. So if John wants to put that on for us, that'd be great. He'll give us a shout when it's going to come on. But
he started out as a session guitarist with the Sesame Street band.
Yes, that's right.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, I know all about that. He grew up in a... Here we go. Look at this. Now, hear that Freak Out?
Yeah.
Right, that's great.
It's the guitar that makes it sound like him.
Well, his guitar playing apparently was spectacular. Yeah. Now, he grew up in a neighbourhood, which was as rough as anything, you know? I'm trying to remember which city he grew up in. I think it was Chicago.
He's from New York.
New York, that's right, New York. Of course it was. That's right, absolutely right,
in fact,
New York.
He's a member of the Black Panthers.
That's right, he was. And both his parents were heroin addicts. So he never quite knew what he was going to greet him.
I think his mother was like 13 when she gave birth.
That's right, she was, when he got home every day, from school and all that. He wasn't sure whether his mother was still alive or not, whether she was just in a coma or whatever like that. But anyway, he had this fantastic talent. Now, that Freak Out is really interesting, right? Yeah. Because what happens is, Studio 54 is at its peak. Yeah. And Steve Rubell, was it?
Yeah, that's right.
Was the owner there. And what you had to do in those days is,
Ian Schrager, I think the other one was, wasn't it?
Who?
Ian Schrager.
I don't know about
that.
Yeah. Steve Rubell used to go outside. There were thousands of people outside. He used to handpick people who could come in that night and tell others, no, just brutal Americanism.
Forget about it.
Forget about it. You haven't got the face. No, you're coming into my club, and all that kind of stuff. But for celebrities, there was a back door. Yeah. Where you went round and you knocked on the door, and then a little shutter came, like a prison door. Yeah, right. And they found out you, and they'd let you in or they wouldn't let you in. So he'd been invited by Grace Jones.
Okay, yeah. Now, she was a big name in the 80s.
She was a big name in the 80s. I'm never sure what she was about. Was she an actress or a singer?
She was famously in... You might remember her from View to a Kill. She was.
I remember that. She jumped off the off the Eiffel Tower.
That's right, yeah. Well, that was Grace Jones. But I mean, in the sort of late 70s, early 80s, she was a sort of electro...
A disco queen.
Yeah,
that's right, OK. So she would be in Studio 54. Anyway, she'd met Nile Rodgers earlier at a recording, a music recording. He was a session musician, as you quite rightly say. Yeah. And... she said, you're a great guy and all this, and, I love your music and all that. You're a great guitar player. You must come to my show tonight at Studio 54. Uh-huh. So he turns up at the back door, knocks on the door, and the guy opens the shutter. He says, my name's Nile Rodgers. These are my friends. We're personal friends of Grace Jones, who's, your headline act tonight. Yeah. And the guy said, yeah, OK, you and 1,000 others, buddy. And then told him literally to F off and slammed the door. Right. So they knocked again, and the guy said, didn't even open it this time, just told them to F off again, Anyway, they lived in an apartment, a few blocks away, walking distance. So they went back, got the guitars out, and then composed a song about Studio 54. Right. And it went, F off, dun-dun-dun-dun,
what, you mean, like Freak Out?
54, F off, dun-dun-dun-dun. And then, of course, they realised they couldn't put that out because that would be too offensive, because it's profanities, and he doesn't like profanities, Nile Rodgers, actually. So they went into a studio the next day and they changed it to Freak Out, and that became one of the most famous disco songs ever.
Isn't that funny?
Isn't it funny? Absolutely. But it's a fantastic story, a fantastic guy, and the number of songs he's responsible for. I mean, I love Sister Sledge, We're lost in music, caught in a trap.
A bit of that. Do you know, after we spoke about Supertramp so much last week, loads of people on Twitter have been saying, we should actually be writing to Supertramp to say, by the way, we've now boosted your sales.
We revived your career.
Revived your career. Because maybe we don't have to revive Noel Rodgers' career. But,
absolutely.
Speaking of Grace Jones, she owned a restaurant in the 80s down in Soho.
Oh, really?
And I was asked in my capacity as the Sunday Times correspondent...
food critic.
To go down... Yeah. No, well, I did Robert De Niro's restaurant, which was down in Tribeca, right, called the Tribeca Grill.
Yeah.
And I rang them up. A great restaurant, still there. Rang them up and said, I'm from the Sunday Times, I'd like to come and review the restaurant. And they went, you can come at 6 or 10. which was always like, the sort of Siberia, as they used to call it.
Sure.
And I said, no, it was from the Sunday Times. They didn't care. They was like, we don't care. They're in England.
6 or 10.
So 6 or 10. So I went at 10. Different story with Grace Jones's restaurant, which was lovely. One of the most wonderful things I've ever eaten in my life was in her restaurant, and it was a warm lobster salad.
Really?
Yeah, it was absolutely
Don't
fantastic.
like lobster, me.
But of course, the problem with Grace Jones was obviously her MO
Yes.
was to invite people to wherever she was. Right?
Yes.
Because in the end, the restaurant was only open for about 6 months because she kept inviting her friends there,
and nobody paid.
And nobody ever paid.
No, that's right. Yeah,
so
I've seen
after
that
6
happen all
months,
the time.
after 6 months, the restaurant just went bust.
Yeah, just closed. Yeah. No, listen, I've got to read out a tweet here from Liz because she's complaining that she sends me so many messages.
Yeah.
I know. She says, right, here we go. Right, she's addressed to me, Mike. Please be nice to me tonight. I'm always nice to you, Liz. I don't know what that means. It seems you have favourites, and allegedly I'm one, but you never read the entire tweet. Loves you. So that's just an affectionate thing. That doesn't mean that she is, as a woman, stating that she loves me as a man. It's
Really?
just an affectionate thing.
Are you sure?
Of course it is.
I'm not so sure. I think she's got a bit of a soft spot.
No. When you say loves you, baby, I mean that means the whole world loves you. You know what I mean? That's what it means. Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, there you go, Liz.
Right.
I read out the whole thing, so there you are. And what are you laughing at? What's your problem?
Why are you explaining it?
Because she thinks that I'm ignoring her all the time, and I'm not.
You're always reading her tweets out.
No, I'm not. She's a regular tweeter.
You read her tweets out every show.
No, I don't think I do. But anyway, Liz, we haven't forgotten you. Thank you very much indeed for being in touch.
I don't care what Porky says or how much he protests.
Yes.
He's not the man of the people. He's a massive snob.
Oh no, that's not true. How can you say that? I'm the only one who goes to Wetherspoons. You don't.
Yeah, but you look down on people who drive in cars which are not more than 3 years old.
No, I don't. It's
Yeah,
just that you're old wreck. You're old jalopy.
Anyone who drives an
You're
old car is a
ramshackle,
loser.
heap of junk parked outside the front of Talk Sport Towers and making us look like, we're a blinking scrapyard for knackered old cars rather than one of the world's leading radio stations.
I don't know why it bothers you so much. Chris says this.
Me.
No wonder Planky missed the lunar eclipse if he was using astrological prowess.
Yes, well, I was using astrological prowess.
Well,
Don't
it's
worry about
astronomical prowess you should have been using.
Astronomical, astrological, it's all the same to me. Now, what
I've seen the time, by the way.
Hey?
I've seen the time.
Oh, no, you panic too much about the time because we've got a lot to talk about tonight, okay?
We have, yeah.
For instance, I want to talk to you about the latest James Bond film after the break. I found out something which is very disturbing. Hey?
Have you heard the Sam Smith song?
The Sam Smith song I haven't heard
No.
yet.
Have you not?
No, have you?
I have.
Is it good?
No.
Is it available?
Well, I think it's being released soon, but they've been playing snippets of it.
Oh, we're not able to hear a bit of it then.
I don't know if we might be able to.
Okay, that'd be good.
We'll try and do that.
And as Wayne Rooney has now taken up poetry, I've written a little poem for Wayne Rooney.
Oh, we'll talk about that in a minute as well.
Yeah.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mikes. Talk Sport, we are the Two Mikes, and I think that is probably the worst Bond song I've ever heard. Yeah, it is too slow, isn't it?
It is too slow, yeah.
Are your headphones all right?
Well, I've just clamped them back together
Why don't you
again.
just buy some new ones?
I'm going to buy some new ones tomorrow. This drives me mad, this. When one side or the other goes, you feel...
They don't look as if they're big enough either.
No, of course they're big enough, you idiots.
They're not covering your ears, though.
Of course they're covering my ears,
I
you
can see
fool.
your ears underneath the bottom one.
Well, that's because,
Your ears
I
must
don't...
be huge, then.
I don't want things that look as though they come out of a 1930s BBC radio studio, and I'm not wearing, a dinner jacket and a dicky bow, you oaf.
Another one of those hideous checked shirts that you own.
No, this is fashionable.
Now,
what were we going to say? Yeah, now, what was I going to tell you about? For instance...
You were asking me about the new Bond music, weren't you?
Yes, I did, yeah. I just heard a bit of it. I don't like it. Now, what I was going to tell you about was this. In the course of making that film called Spectre...
The new one. Yeah.
Is it called Spectre?
It is called
Spectre, right.
Yeah.
Do you know, and I think this is... Honestly, I think it's almost obscene... They wrecked £24 million worth of brand new Aston Martins.
Did they?
24 million. No joke.
I don't believe that.
Well, it's true.
I don't believe it.
Well, I'm telling you...
I think that's a PR stunt for the publicity machine.
No, I read it on 3 or 4 different sources over the course of the weekend, and I was so appalled by it.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's true, though, does it?
No,
it'll still be a PR story.
No, I checked it out. And Aston Martin have corroborated it. Aston Martin have corroborated that.
So Aston Martin corroborated, so you think it's true. I mean, what sort of a gullible bloke are you?
Well, are you calling Aston Martin liars?
You've worked in Fleet Street, you know what happens.
Are you calling Aston Martin liars?
I'm calling this a PR stunt.
No, it's not to me. I think it's dreadful. 7 cars had to be wrecked.
But have you ever heard of what they did in Miami Vice when they couldn't afford a Lamborghini, so they had a Pontiac Firebird and they put a Lamborghini body over the chassis?
Well, that's what I think they should have done here.
Well, that's obviously what they've done.
I think what they should have done here is they should have got some
no Hollywood studio would pay 24 million out of a budget of, I don't know, maybe the budget's 100 million. They wouldn't say
the budget's more like $500 million for these films now, because they do. Here, listen to this.
They spent 24 million.
Mike, you may be surprised. Listen to this. Right. James Bond's last outing resulted in the destruction of the entire set. A country mansion that could be built from scratch for Skyfall was entirely consumed by an explosion in flames. But in the forthcoming release, Spectre, filmmakers have gone one step better. They appear to have gone one step further. They have smashed up 7 brand new Aston Martins, the secret agent's car of choice. A host of other expensive models also ended up in the scrapyard, leaving the crew to estimate that they destroyed a total of £24 million worth of vehicles.
Well, that's a long way from 7 Aston Martins.
As they traversed Mexico, Rome and Austria. Well, 24 million!
Well, I believe the number.
24.
Hang on, you just said 7 Aston Martins, right?
Yeah.
Aston Martins, even if you were to take a median value, say 100,000 each.
Yes.
Right, 700,000.
Yes.
How'd you get from 700,000 to 24 million?
Because it says Bond film turns Aston Martins into 24 million pile of scrap metal. I mean, it's.
What do you mean it says?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm reading all the facts here. Do you know what they did?
Oh, no, you're not. You told me they killed off 7 Aston Martins, right?
Yes.
That's less than £1 million.
Well, I'm telling you, it was amongst £24 million worth. £24 million worth of destroyed cars. I mean, it's just outrageous. Excuse me.
It's true. I don't think it's true.
Here we go. Gary Powell, the chief stunt coordinator for the £200 million film. The budget's $200 million, OK?
Right, so that's not $500 million. Then.
Starring Daniel Craig.
Yes.
Excuse me. I don't know. What's wrong with it? I know. I use this studio.
Water or something.
Anyway, it says...
Go on.
We set the record for smashing up cars on Spectre. In Rome, we wrecked millions of pounds worth of cars. They were going into the Vatican at top speeds of 110 miles an hour. Why would you drive an Aston Martin into the Vatican at 110 miles an hour?
Because you're making a film.
I know, but it seems... I think the Pope knows about this.
I don't think he does. Maybe they did it while he was away.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean, yeah.
What's going on at the Vatican?
In Cuba. That was another great disco record.
It was, yeah.
Now, one scene involves a chase around Rome's main sites, including the Colosseum.
Yeah.
Mr. Powell said there was a risk of skidding into the Vatican. That would have been catastrophic, but the sequence went without problems. Bond is chased in his Aston Martin round the streets of the Italian capital. Millions of pounds of high-performance cars were written off. Excuse me.
Well, that's what he says.
Now this is the secret.
Yeah, go on.
Only 150 models of the newest Aston Martin will be sold in conjunction with the film's release next month. They are therefore at a premium against the normal cost of an Aston Martin.
Oh, yeah.
That's interesting.
I think it's a great story. I think it's a great piece of publicity for the movie.
I'm not sure about that.
I don't believe the numbers.
I'm not sure about it. It says also...
See, that's the difference between you and I.
Yeah.
You believe everything that you're told.
What?
You believe everything you're told.
No.
That's why you were no use as an executive.
There's a story in tomorrow morning's papers I've just had a look at, and it's pretty disgraceful. It's a group of people from a pretty successful firm in Southampton who went off to Rome as a sort of bonus for
I've seen this story,
returning good figures and all that. And they all end up naked in the fountains, not the Trevi fountains, which I know are at the bottom of the Spanish Steps, you know, but another load of fountains.
Well, there's loads of fountains there, aren't there?
Yeah, there are loads of fountains, but I mean, I think that's disgraceful behaviour by British people abroad. I do, honestly,
God. That's why British people get such a bad name.
I mean, it's all right saying, they're having a laugh and all that. These people were naked.
Yeah.
The men were naked, the women were topless, paddling around in a.
Did they get arrested by the Carabinieri?
Well, they got arrested and fined and all that, but they might now have to go back and face charges of, gross indecency and all this kind of stuff. And I'm glad that that's happening. I think it's disgraceful.
You're not keen on nakedness, are you?
Well, I'm not keen on people flaunting this nakedness in front of other people and insulting their culture. They were far from home, had rather a lot to drink, and the temptation was just too much. A group of Britons on a work trip to Rome went for a naked dip at dawn in one of the city's historic fountains. But their frivolities have now landed them in hot water as the 6 colleagues, including 2 women and the married company director, have been arrested.
Oh, dear.
And rightly so.
The married company director's going to have a bit of an earful.
He's going to have a problem
now,
there.
let me tell you about Wayne Rooney, because did you know, for example, that there is a documentary next Monday night going out on BBC One?
I did.
And I'm sure you would have been contacted to be part of it.
Yes.
Hey?
Hey?
Well, you're not contacted to be part of it.
Who, me?
Yeah.
No.
Well, you've written a book about him.
Of course I have. It's called Rooney Tunes.
Well, why wouldn't they talk to you about it?
Well, I think you'll find they wanted to come at it from a different angle.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You didn't want your version of how he saved your life.
Why did you say that with a smirk on your face?
I mean, you know, any documentary about Wayne Rooney surely would be missing a huge chunk of his life if it didn't have that bit about how he saved your life.
How do you know I wasn't approached?
Well, I'm saying I assume you were.
Well, I can't talk about it.
Did you say you couldn't do it?
I can't talk about
Sir
these
Alex
things.
Ferguson apparently turned him down.
You sometimes have to sign confidentiality agreements in this sort of thing, you know, so I can't really talk about it.
Okay. Well, he's being interviewed by Gary Lineker, but the funny thing, well, 2 things. First of all, one, apparently Sir Alex Ferguson refused to take part in it,
yes,
according to one of the papers.
But that's not...
Which tells you that he still sort of holds some kind of grudge against him.
I don't think so. I think for people to interpret, that means that Sir Alex holds a grudge. I mean, Sir Alex loved him when he was 18 and signed him as the boy wonder and all that kind of stuff, and he just grew from that into a man, and they're differences.
Yeah, but he loved David Beckham when he signed him as well. But I think,
true.
Posh upset him on that front, and maybe Colleen did the same. But also in this documentary, Wayne reveals that he wooed his wife Colleen by writing love poetry for her, which made me think of that love poem that you wrote in the Times for that woman you were.
Yes.
Shall we say, squiring around town.
Well, we don't need to talk about that, do we, really?
Well, no, but you've got more in common with him than you think. And also, do you know where he proposed to her?
It was a cabbage patch, wasn't it, or something?
No, it was a petrol station.
Petrol station. He first met her when the chain came off her bike when they were 14, and he put the chain back on her bike for her, and she thought he was a hero. Yeah. Because...
Well, she says she still finds his moments very, very touching. She says, recently we went on holiday and I went to bed with the kids, and when I got up the next morning there was a poem on the side which he left me, and that was nice. And she says she's got a collection of his poetry. Yes, that's great. I'm going to write a little poem before the end of the show, okay? Okay. Which will be about Wayne Rooney, and I'll read it to the audience before we sign off at 4 o'clock, okay? Yeah, okay. Well, I can't wait to hear that. No. Will it be a sort of a limerick or? No. It'll be a haiku. It'll be measured. Measured. Yeah. Will it rhyme? Yes, it will rhyme. Will it? It will rhyme. What are you laughing at? Why are you always laughing? Because it will be the usual doggerel. No, it won't. No. Now then. Well, never mind now then, because coming up we're going to talk about space. We're going to talk about the blood red moon. Okay. And also, have you seen that story about the discovery of water on Mars? Well, it's rubbish, isn't it? Well, you can talk to a scientist about that. I mean, you can tell so Dr. What? What do you mean, so what? Do you know that if you... Here, I'll tell you a fact that I know. You have to be quick. If there was a road from here... If there was a road from here to Mars, and you got in your old jalopy, and you could get it up to 60 miles an hour... Yeah. Do you know how long it would take you to get to Mars? How long? 271 years. Really? Yeah. I haven't got that long. Driving at 60 miles an hour, and let's face it, if your car was going 60 miles an hour, all the doors would fall off. No, my car goes faster than 60. Yeah, rubbish. It doesn't go at all now. It's wrecked. Yeah, it does. It goes complete wreck. Well. It's not even legally on the road. Yes, it is. It's not. A complete calumny. It's failed an MOT. Where's the cops? Yeah, I'm not be driving around on the same road as old hunks and wrecks which might fall to pieces in front of me. You don't understand MOTs, do you? Supposing a bit of your car fell off in front of my car and damaged my tyre. Well, your car shouldn't be allowed on the road. Hang on, your car's got more bits falling off it than anybody else's. Hasn't got any bits falling off it. All your tyres fell off. It's not my fault I ran over a screw, was it, that burst my tyre? Anyway, listen. Outrageous. Should get rid of screws on roads. Just look into the light for a moment, because coming up we're going to talk to Dr. Ian O'Neill about a whole bunch of stuff, including life on Mars. This is TalkSport. We've been ready all our lives to set the power free under the blood red moon. The blood red moon. Under the blood red moon. The blood red moon. Ooh, a great song that is, and how apt. Yeah, who sings that? Blood Red Moon. It's a band called The Hives, apparently. Who? The Hives, as in the beehives, but without the bee. Never heard of them. Yeah, is that the only song they ever made? Well, what? Is that the only song they ever made? No, I shouldn't think it's the only song they ever made, no. But it's rather a good song, a very apt song. So we're going to talk to Dr. Ian O'Neill, who is, of course, a scientist, solar physicist, in fact, about all of the business from the blood red moon of last night. I was out taking pictures of it. You were obviously, otherwise engaged. No, not at all. Claiming that there were clouds over Surrey. But a fascinating event it was, which I was very honoured to witness myself. And also, we want to ask you about this latest story. Front page of the Times this morning, Mars, the wet planet. It says, discovery of running water raises hope of alien life. course, it's not the first time they've discovered water on Mars, is it? Let's talk to Dr. O'Neill. Dr. O'Neill, very good morning to you.
Hi there, both. How you doing?
No, very well indeed. Thanks so much for coming on. Now, I don't know what it was like in California where you were. Did you get a decent look at the old blood red moon last night?
Yeah, we were lucky, actually, through the cloud. I mean, it was one night that, well, we don't usually get cloud, as you can expect, but last night we got cloud. So, 60 minutes of totality we had cloud, but I was able to take some photos before and after, so I didn't miss out.
Right.
Good.
I thought it was great. I mean, I woke up sort of by accident at around about 2:30, 2:45, which was about half an hour before it was due to kind of, the eclipse was kind of already underway. And I must admit, I was quite transfixed by it. It looked. I described it as looking a little bit like, I didn't see, because of I didn't have a telescope, so I didn't see that very fiery red kind of colour that a lot of people saw. But it looked to me that it seemed more spherical. It almost looked like, the way I described it was like a snooker ball hanging in the sky.
Yeah, because it was a combination of a supermoon, so it was just a chance occurrence where you get a full moon and the moon just happens to be a little bit closer to the Earth in its orbit, and we had an eclipse at the same time. And now it was kind of rare, so you're really lucky to see it, because we're not going to get a supermoon lunar eclipse until 2033. So this is the last one for, 20 years.
Yeah. Indeed, it is.
Aren't you sorry you missed it now?
Sorry?
Aren't you sorry you missed it?
No, not really.
You're not going to be around for the next one.
No. I had cloud cover as well, Doc, and I couldn't see all of it, but it was a very, very bright and very full moon. Now, talking about Mars,
hang on,
Doc.
we haven't finished with the moon yet, though.
Have you finished with the moon?
Well, I wanted to ask him about all these people that said that it was going to be the harbinger of terrible things at the end of the world.
Yeah, but that's an old myth. That's not a scientific theory.
No, I know that, but Dr. O'Neill, surely all these people now who were claiming it was going to be the end of the world must be feeling a bit stupid.
Oh, every year there's a doomsday event. I mean, I remember back in 2012 we were supposed to be annihilated by some sort of asteroid.
Oh, yeah, the Mayan thing.
That was incredible. Those were great times for me because I was debunking it left, right, and centre. But these things happen every year, and people get scared of these things. And, it's all, it kind of harks back to our ancient times where we didn't have an understanding of science. I suppose a red moon would have been pretty scary.
Yeah. Well, Porky, my partner here, still believes he still is a bit like a guy from the Dark Ages.
No, I'm not. I'm not like a guy from the Dark Ages.
Well, you're the same man that has said, "What is the point of exploring space?" Have you not?
Well, I haven't said the point of exploring space. What I was going to say was, Doctor, we're all getting very excited that there could be life on Mars because we've discovered that the lines, black lines, which we thought were just lines in the desert, could be water flowing and all this kind of stuff. But as I just said to my partner here, I read a statistic related to this research which says that if you took an automobile and drove it at 60 miles an hour and there was a road between here and Mars, it would take 271 years to get there. So we're never going to inhabit Mars, are we? So why do we get so excited
you're not going to drive there in a car, either.
About the fact that there might be a bit of water on it?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you're not going to take a car to Mars, but it's still the fastest spaceship we've got is probably going to take 6 months. So it's going to be you have to take a sandwich or something with you. But but the whole point of this exploration of Mars right now is there's two. One is to find life on Mars, possibly, because to be honest, even though it's a big dry barren wasteland, it's the most habitable place apart from Earth in the solar system. So we kind of want to, there's some moons in the outer solar system that are very interesting, but we can always talk about that another time. But that's the nearest place to Earth that we could possibly envisage alien life living. But we're not talking about, little green men here. We're talking about microbes. We're talking about germs under the surface of Mars.
Sure.
And then, if it's quite habitable for them, perhaps we can eventually send humans there to set up base camp.
But I mean, is that a very big leap then to discover, say, microbes and the fact that there could be? I mean, from what I understand, this latest discovery is not the first time that water's been discovered, but it's the first time kind of salt water has been discovered, right?
Yeah. So basically, you're right. I mean, it seems like every 6 months we get a big news announcement from NASA, saying that we've discovered water on Mars, and everyone's like, "Hey, hold on, we discovered that last month. What the hell's going on?" But this. We know there's ice on Mars. We know there's water ice on Mars. So in the solid form, we know that there's evidence for water underneath the surface of Mars in ice form. But this is like the first time that we've actually seen liquid water flowing on the surface. Now, this was actually discovered back in 2011 by the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, and it's a crazy awesome satellite in orbit because it can take really, really high-resolution images of the surface. Mm-hmm. So when they first discovered, as you say, these dark lines running off of these slopes, they were kind of excited. It was like, wait, hold on, this could be evidence of seasonal water. So basically, when at the time, as the southern hemisphere of Mars went from winter into summer, of course, it heated up, and these waters seemed to flow. But until today, they haven't been able to prove that it was water. And what they think it's very, very salty water. So basically, the salt in the water is allowing the water to exist in a liquid state rather than freezing. So it's almost like, in the UK when you scatter salt on your icy roads to make sure you don't slide. Basically, it lowers the freezing point of water, so it exists in a liquid state at lower temperatures. And that's basically what's happening on Mars. It's like an antifreeze salt that could be maintaining this liquid state. And if there's liquid water, there could be life, because on Earth, wherever there's water, there's life. So does that law extend to Mars? Well, we don't really know yet, but the fact that we actually see liquid water flowing in modern-day Mars. Now, there's evidence that ancient Mars had a lot of water, but the fact that we've got modern-day Mars with flowing water is kind of exciting.
I totally agree with you. Of course it is, and particularly to scientists.
Yes, you don't find it exciting.
Hang on. Can you shut up a minute?
You always poo-poo space talk that we have.
Listen, just shut it for
You asked me why I even bothered taking pictures of the moon.
So, Doc, I can imagine how exciting it is for you. It's exciting for the average person. Now, that begs the question from me. Did we waste all that money and all those years and all that time exploring the moon? Because there's nothing on the moon. We're never going to inhabit the moon. Did we just take the moon as an easier option because it was closer? And should we, in fact, have put those resources into heading to Mars, even if it does take 6 months in our fastest spaceship to get there?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's two lines of thought. We could use the moon as a staging post, then we can use it as practice.
Is it in the same direction as Mars? I thought it was in the opposite direction, actually.
No, they orbit, and they can be in a
I see. Yeah, right. Yeah,
it goes around the Earth, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about the moon is that it's out of the Earth's gravitational well. So what you could do, you could set up science fiction-y here. You could set up like a base on the moon, and it would be very easy then to launch spaceships from the moon rather than Earth, because the Earth is just very, it's got a huge gravitational well.
Sure.
It costs a lot of money to get out of it.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of resources to do so. But if you can actually put a staging post on the moon,
that's a good
great.
idea.
And also, because it's close to home, we can set up an outpost for humans that we can actually test things. And if something goes wrong, we can at least rescue them, because you're only like a day or two away from rescuing them. Whereas Mars is, as I say, 6 months away, probably more, and that's when Mars and Earth are actually closest together. It could be like 18 months away if they're on opposite sides of the sun. So it's a pretty extreme place to hang out.
Yeah,
so you kind of want the technology to be really refined before you send humans.
What do you make of these concepts of getting to somewhere like Mars by using different methods?
One day we'll have warp factor 3 Starship machines, won't we?
Well, never mind that. I'm talking about wormholes and things like that we see in movies like Interstellar. What do you make of that?
Yeah, wormholes. That would be great, but they haven't been discovered yet. And there is some physics theories behind wormholes, and they're not fully science fiction. But to traverse through a wormhole, you need some sort of exotic energy to hold the wormhole open. And to be honest, it doesn't look that great. From the calculations, they are very, very microscopic anyway. You can't fit a spaceship. That way.
I haven't got any faith in wormholes.
You're starting to look a bit confused.
Yeah, I'm looking confused. But Doc, surely we will have a craft that's similar to Starship Enterprise one of these days, won't we? Which actually doesn't travel at all; it transplants itself. I.e., you break down all the electrodes and molecules that make up the craft, and you just transfer them to Mars.
I like your thinking.
Yeah.
That would be really nice. But, there is research. I mean, a lot of science fiction is born from science fact, and there is research into the warp drive. I know quite a lot of physicists who are actually into this.
Oh, yeah.
And although we don't have the technology yet, we've certainly got the theory behind it. And, from theory, great things happen. At the end of the day, general relativity is still a theory, but we use it every single day. So you just don't know. I mean, the warp drive theory could become a thing if the technology catches up, but this we're talking like a year
Excellent.
old, so
Excellent.
Well, we'll let you know when it's working.
Warp factor 5. Send me to Mars.
This
Absolutely great.
This is a guy who doesn't even like going on holiday to Europe.
No,
I don't think he's going to go anywhere near Mars. But Dr. O'Neill, thank you very much indeed. We'd love to get you on again if we may.
Thanks, Doc.
Oh, pleasure as always, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed.
Again. Dr. O'Neill. Doc, you kept calling him as well.
Well, that's his title.
Well, Doctor, actually.
Doc is an affectionate sort of abbreviation.
And by the
doctor.
way, the Starship Enterprise is not broken down in, the transporter and then just turns up in other places.
Oh, no,
it
I
moves
know
very...
that.
Well, that's what you described it as.
No, I said either or. Either war,
no.
or I said, you break down the molecules, you transport.
No,
it's called...
That's what the transporter is. That's when they beam people up and down, but it's not
that's what I'm saying,
They don't beam the ship around the universe.
But you see, I've always wondered about that. If they can beam people up and down from Starship Enterprise to the planet and then back again, why can't they beam the ship into other galaxies?
Because they would need a transporting,
device.
Well,
that could be on Earth.
In both places.
That could be back on Earth.
And also, it's a lot bigger, isn't it?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter how big it is. I mean...
Yeah, but you need it where you want to put it, right?
No, in effect, on the technology to transport, Scotty, beam me up, you could transport the Empire State Building from Manhattan to the moon, couldn't you?
Why would you want to do that?
Well, I don't think you would want to do it, but I mean, technically you could, if you so wished.
Well, if it existed, but it doesn't.
Do you understand how you would get a spaceship to travel for 6 or up to 18 months from here to Mars? What would fuel it?
What do you mean?
Well, you couldn't take 18 months' worth of fuel, rocket fuel.
Well, what would they fuel it with then?
Well, gravitational pull.
Well, they don't need they don't need fuel, do they?
Once they're out
of the atmosphere.
Don't need fuel.
Well, what do you say? What kind of fuel then?
Well, because if
once it's out of the atmosphere, right, it just travels in one direction.
Yeah, but which direction?
Well, whichever direction you point it in.
And what is propelling it?
Well, you can then propel it because there's no gravity by having little thrusters, which could just be air. And they can change direction.
But when you land on Mars, if you do land on Mars, how do you get off again?
Well, you'd need some fuel for that.
That's what I'm saying.
But you wouldn't need to fuel the whole journey.
No, but you'd have to carry fuel with you.
I think you're very confused.
No, not at all.
Here's one from Bill. He says, will Porky try to visit Mars if they open up Wetherspoons on it?
Well, that's a ridiculous question, but obviously I know you're getting into the spirit of things. The point is that, A, there's nothing wrong with Wetherspoons. B, I think that we can waste an awful lot of time and energy and money on space travel when I do believe there are problems on God's own Earth which we have to solve first.
Dear me.
Talk Sport.
Can I have your attention, please?
Get your kit on.
Maybe not.
On DAB, Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM in a different league. Result.
Thanks, Bob.
Talk Sport.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. It's winners and losers coming up very shortly in the next hour. And, of course, there'll be a podcast coming out. See, what we haven't talked about, Mr. Parry, was the show that had chickens on Friday nights.
That's
which was very well attended. So thanks to everybody who came.
Yeah,
Sorry
you.
to anybody who couldn't get a ticket. But it was sold out, where we shot the video for our hopefully upcoming DVD.
That's right. It's going to be our first DVD. The two mics be out way before Christmas. In fact, should be out within the next 3 weeks, I would think.
Are you sure you're not being a little bit premature then?
Well, what is it now? It's October.
Well, it's nearly October.
2 days' time.
Yeah.
Before the end of October, anyway.
Yeah, let's hope so.
We hope, yeah. And we've got to get it...
I mean, we haven't done anything like this before.
Cut and edited and packaged and all that kind of stuff.
Not sure how long some of this stuff takes.
No, but it's a very exciting venture, and we hope that you're all going to enjoy it. And it went very well, the recording anyway, so that's that. No, you're not still miffed, are you, that you weren't on the show with me yesterday afternoon, Sunday?
Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't particularly have wanted to do it. I mean, the thing that I was miffed about
was
that you didn't tell me until Friday. That was the thing I was miffed about.
Well, what was there to tell?
Because you could have prepared me better for it.
Well, look, mate, I get the call last week, we need an expert on the show.
Can you... It was worth telling me?
Well, I kind of forgot. I've got a busy old life. I've got a busy life.
No, you've got self-regarding, self-interested life.
No.
That is why so many people have tweeted, likening you to Judas Iscariot.
Judas Iscariot, that's a bit harsh.
A few pieces of silver, you basically go and do anything. No. You leave your only mate around, behind, don't worry about me.
What do you mean, only mate?
Yeah, well, that's what they're describing me.
What do you mean,
Well, I am your only mate.
Are they mad?
I am your only mate.
Queuing up to say that they've shaken the hand of the Porkmeister. Didn't you know
that?
Like
who?
Well, well, people.
Aza21 says, betrayed for a handful of fish fingers, Judas pork scariot.
Well, that's a terrible thing to say.
Mank fella says, I'm utterly disappointed with the Judas Iscariot type operation to work a new TalkSport number behind your pal Mike Graham's back.
Okay, well, I will, just deflate.
And Stephen, how about this?
Yeah.
You're in the losers this week, Porky, for abandoning old MG, which probably puts him in the winners as well.
Yeah, I don't think so. Now then, away from all that, because that's just bitterness and bile on your behalf.
No, I don't get bitter and filled with bile. No,
really?
Because I have other things I have to do. I have to take the dog for a walk, I have to take the kids out, I was very busy on Sunday.
Now, the fact that you can't organise the proverbial in the proverbial has just been highlighted by Luke, who says, could you tell old MG he's just played the incorrect James Bond song? The song is called...
No, he's wrong.
The Writings on the Wall by Sam Smith.
That was the song that was played.
He says
obviously,
not.
No, he obviously hasn't heard that bit of it, because most people haven't heard that bit of it.
Oh, why? Is that a new bit?
Well, they've been releasing little bits and little chunks.
I
to try
see.
And sort of, this is why there's a massive PR campaign.
Okay, fine.
Okay, fine.
Sorry?
Okay,
no,
fine.
Yeah. If that's the explanation that you wish to
I think you should stop saying okay, fine, and say what you really mean instead.
What's that?
Like, well, that's thanks for that. I'm just going to carry babbling on now.
No, not
without
at
any
all.
reference to you.
Not at all. Could someone please find the poem that Mike Parry once wrote to his lady friend? Well, it wasn't really a poem. It's more of a tribute, you know what I mean?
It was more of a nonsense verse,
the one
really,
in
wasn't
the
it?
Times, yeah.
What about the lingerie?
And a big joke here. This is a great joke. I love this. It's directed at you. It says, if you starred in a James Bond film, MG, would it be You Only Eat Twice? Or The Living Diet. I love that. I love that. That's brilliant.
I think that's actually aimed at you.
No, I don't think it is.
Read out the whole thing.
No, it's gone.
Read out the whole thing.
I can't find it now. I've
You
got
can't
so many.
find
I've
it?
got so many tweets.
All right.
So many tweets.
No, that one's aimed at you.
I don't think so.
Now, I've got some interesting information for you here.
Tell me.
This is a study, and I know you like these kind of things.
Right.
The brains of high-achieving individuals are wired up differently to those of people with fewer intellectual or social
Well, that's
abilities,
obvious, isn't it?
according to one of the first studies.
I've seen that. Isn't that obvious?
Well, no, they're not saying that therefore you are more intelligent.
Yeah.
It's saying that your brain is actually wired differently, which is a completely different thing.
What do you mean?
Your overall lifestyle.
Brighter people have a better wired brain. Is that what it is? Saying?
They're not saying brighter people.
So what are they saying?
Higher achieving individuals are wired
Like
up
me, you
differently,
mean?
right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know whether you would fit this, right? Of
course I would.
The researchers found that positive abilities such as good vocabulary, which you don't have.
Of course I do.
Good memory, which you don't have.
I do.
Life satisfaction, which you don't have.
I do.
Income, which you do have. And years of education, which you don't have.
I do. I went to one of Britain's best schools, the King's School, Chester.
Yeah, but then you went to some rancid polytechnic for a year and then dropped out.
How dare you say that? The University of the Trent? How could you possibly describe it as that?
Which you dropped out of, right? Now, it says...
Well, you're a dropout from university.
Yeah, but I went to a proper university.
Rubbish.
They were linked significantly with a greater connectivity between regions of the brain associated with higher cognition. But you don't have that, right? So, for example, this is in contrast to significantly lower brain connectivity of people who score high in negative traits, right? Which include anger, rule breaking, and poor sleep quality. Yeah, I'd say you suffer from all of those.
I don't recognise any of that, to be honest.
You don't sleep very well.
Well, that's because I choose not to.
You break rules.
No. What rules? What rules do I break?
Breaking rules. You don't think rules apply to you?
Oh, I'm not sure about that. I mean, some rules do.
And you are quite often angry.
No, I'm not angry. Honestly, I'm not angry. Don't worry about
it.
Really? Listen, I'll tell you what I saw over the weekend, and it was quite pathetic.
Yeah, go
on. Freddie Starr. Now, Freddie Starr's just become a whinging, moaning, self-pitying, stumble bum of a man who thinks that,
That's a bit harsh.
Well, it's true. Who thinks, oh, the world's turned against me
Isn't
and all that.
he living in Spain or something?
He's living in Spain. He's pushed off. What happened was, right, he was investigated for allegations of abuse against young ladies, okay?
Yeah.
He was cleared. Let's make that absolutely clear. He was cleared, okay?
Yeah, he was.
But the lady who made the allegations discarded her anonymity and went public and gave a very detailed account of what she said was her encounter with Freddie Starr, okay? It was never upheld in court, right?
Yeah.
But...
And he's not very happy about it.
Well, no, but afterwards what happened was he said, right, well, because she's made these allegations, I'm going to sue her. So they go to a civil court, and in the civil court, the judge actually says, I don't care that this didn't become a criminal prosecution. Yeah. I believe this lady. So I am throwing out...
Because the rules of proof are different, aren't
Exactly. The rules of proof are different in a civil court.
Yeah.
So, I believe this lady... And therefore, I'm sorry, I reject your attempt to claim damages from her. In fact, you're going to have to pay the court costs for the whole hearing and pay her damages, and it's £1 million. Right. Well, once he got the £1 million bill, he didn't have £1 million.
Well, no wonder.
Yeah.
He's not happy.
He sold his house in Studley, near in Warwickshire, a place I know very well. It's near Redditch, where I used to live. And next turns up in Spain in reduced circumstances. But then in an interview with a journalist over the weekend, absolutely whinging and moaning. He says Starry's struggling to come to terms with the fact that his once powerful body, I didn't know he had a powerful body, is letting him down. His speech is slurred, his answers rambling.
Well, he's quite old now, isn't he?
He's 72, I think. Yeah. His speech is slurred. What did I say? Yeah, his answers rambling and his beefy hands shake because of the cocktail of pills he takes daily for his poor health. He has had major heart surgery and suffers
from...
like
you.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. But he gets worse, honestly.
Yeah.
He's had major heart surgery and suffers from dizzy spells. I'm not long for this world, he says.
Well, it's even more like you.
I know, with grim resignation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all I can say...
Anybody who tells me I'm not long for this world, I say, grow up, you know. He goes on to say he perches on the cream sofa in his cream and white marble-fitted flat. The two-bedroom flat bought from the £700,000 profit he made after selling his mansion in Studley in Warwickshire has become his prison.
Oh, yeah.
I rarely go out because it's hard to walk. You can't even walk.
I don't know why you find it so amusing.
Well, I find it amusing because this guy used to make his living by being a clown and being a comedian. And then and it sounds to me like he's doing the impersonation of a stumble-bum drunk who's down on his luck, but in fact it's his lifestyle.
No, but he's down on his luck, and the problem is that many people discover, and sometimes it could be through business, somebody could be through some stupid dispute or other, going to the court of law in this country. Because it's so expensive, it just ruin you.
Yeah, it does,
and I've got some sympathy for him saying that he wants to clear his name.
Well, hang on, you haven't heard the best of it now.
He surely must have been badly advised.
You haven't heard the best of it yet. Listen, this guy with all these ailments and all that, he says, I rarely go out because it's hard to walk. He rasps between drags on his cigarettes and he chain smokes. A crumpled packet of cigarettes rests near the portable inhaler and the large nebulizer that he needs to help him breathe. So if he's so knackered that he needs a breathing machine, why is he chain smoking cigarettes?
Well, I suppose you might say that's not very smart, is it? But I don't think you should mock the guy. I mean, he's obviously in a bad way.
Him.
He's in a bad way. I mean, what can you do?
It says
he might say he brought it on himself, but nevertheless,
this person who saw him says he has a haunted look on his face. He's overweight, beaten and broke.
See, I don't understand why you find that funny.
The former television star is in despair, and he says, I don't know where to turn. Most of my old show business friends have forsaken me. I need help. I've got no money left, and I'm too ill to work. I don't see a very pleasant future ahead for me. A desperate cry for help, and yet he knows that to some extent he's the author of his own downfall.
Well, he is.
Well, of course he is.
I don't think that's any reason to
make
fun of him.
But I hate people who moan and whinge like that when life gets a bit tough. Life gets tough for all of us, You just got to, instead of,
Yeah, I wouldn't ever classify you as a whinger.
Crumbling like this and begging sympathy, I think it's a bit pathetic. I'll tell you a story about Freddie Starr once.
You have to tell it in 30 seconds.
I will. I interviewed a woman. She was associated with Freddie Starr, and she turned up at his house one day because she thought he wanted her to go round, and she stood around for about an hour in the driveway, and then he turned up, and he got out of the car, and he walked up to him without saying anything. The allegation she made is that he urinated all over her shoes and feet.
Why would he do that?
I don't know. I mean, he's a very strange bloke.
Well, he might sue you now.
Well, the allegation, I said, from the lady was that he urinated all over her shoes and feet. That was written in an article I read. A very strange way to behave, I would say. But I think he always was like that, you know what I mean?
Really? What a bizarre story.
Yeah, it is very bizarre.
Right.
Imagine doing that. Isn't that a terrible thing to do?
Well, you don't know whether he did it or not.
Imagine somebody did that to you.
You don't know whether he did it, though.
Well, the allegation was from the lady, why would she say that? That's a very strange thing to make up, isn't it?
Well, there are many things that get made up which are very strange, as you well know.
Yeah.
We have no proof that it ever happened. So
no, no proof at all. It's an allegation. I keep saying that.
Let's just keep making them.
Yeah.
This is
Freddie's not in a position to deny any allegations at the moment. He's got his nebula.
Yeah, well, he might get a better lawyer next time.
Yeah, get his nebuliser over his face. He can't. He's smoking too many cigarettes.
If I were you, I'd stop insulting the cool guy. This is Toy Talk Sport. We are the two mics. There is winners and losers coming up as well. Now, let me read you this, which came in a little bit earlier, but I didn't get a chance to do it on Dr. Eva. Daniel says this.
Yes.
Sorry, Mike and Mike, I totally disagree about the female doctor walking away quietly. There are way too many things like this that are kept out of the public view.
Yeah.
These people earn thousands of pounds a week working with key names like Chelsea. If they are being mistreated, then the public should be made aware and the perpetrator should be named and shamed.
Well, I mean, there's a case for that. The point is that if she takes a settlement, then there will, I would imagine, automatically be a confidentiality clause that you sign and the deal's done and all that kind of stuff. What I was told over the weekend, talking to people, is that she's going to be urged to go public on it and seek a review in a industrial tribunal court, so that the facts come out. But that's a very messy business. I mean, you're getting into all sorts of legalese and everything.
Well, that's what I mean. We were just talking about the problems of getting into legal disputes, and it can end up becoming very costly as well.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
which is
and of course
something you'd recommend to anyone, really.
Well, not against the resources of Chelsea and Mr. Abramovich, who I'm sure would not take sides on it. But Chelsea would represent Jose Mourinho, and they're a very wealthy institution for obvious reasons.
Yeah, no, absolutely right.
Yeah.
Now, a couple of things to mention to you, which we should be talking about. The Champions League, you were saying earlier, Jose Mourinho got a bit mad. Wouldn't it be strange if Chelsea's only success was the Champions League? This season.
It could happen, couldn't it?
Because I mean, after supposedly the revival against Arsenal, they go to Newcastle and played absolutely awful again.
Yeah. Look, it could happen. I'll tell you why it could happen. Because Jose's in such a sort of, what's the word at the moment? Mood.
Yeah.
He's in such a mood at the moment. He hasn't got it right. His squad's not right. Suppose he gets his squad right at Christmas, and Chelsea have struggled through to the next stage of the Champions League, and he buys a few players in the January transfer window or something like that and bucks the team up. Of course it could happen. Of course it could happen.
Well, we've seen Manchester City. I mean, we haven't even mentioned Manchester City or Manchester United yet. Manchester United taking over. I mean, obviously, it may get a mention in winners and losers. But Manchester City, who were this unstoppable, unbeatable team, have suddenly lost the last two games.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Although, funny enough...
and lost in the Champions League as well.
Yes, that's right. Funny enough, Charlie Wise, who's the football editor of The Sun, was with us yesterday in that Sunday show, the one that...
I thought you were going to mention that.
Well, I just mentioned it in passing.
You just keep mentioning it.
He is absolutely convinced that Manchester City are the only team who can win the Premier League.
Is he?
He said what they've had is a blip because they have so many injuries. The whole of the spine disappeared. Joe Hart on the bench because he had a bit of an injury. Company, the rock-solid defender, missing. Silva missing. And when you got players of that quality missing, the team is only like two-thirds as good as it was. Now, listen, I'll tell you something else that I came across over the weekend, which is really interesting football-wise, right?
Yeah.
And that is, you remember Desmond Morris, the Naked Ape?
I do remember Desmond Morris.
Now, he's an anthropologist, okay?
Yeah.
So he's turned his attention to the World Cup and FIFA, and he says the only way that you're going to solve it is to scrap FIFA and scrap the World Cup competition.
Well, I mean, it wasn't that long ago, was it, that Sepp Blatter was hoping to continue to run for president of FIFA and going to have another election, and it all seems to be blown up in his face now.
No.
On the back page of the Mail today, Mr. Platini is saying that he accepts now that his image is damaged.
That's right, of course it is. But what Desmond Morris says, he says you've got to ditch it and start running the international football competition like, believe it or not, the Eurovision Song Contest.
What's it got to do with him, though?
Well, because what he says is that the idea that you would ward the World Cup competition to individual countries is the reason why there is so much mass corruption within FIFA, because people want to get their hands on the money.
Right.
And therefore, A, you get a huge pile of money when you hold it in your country, but B, those who facilitate it happening in that country get a whole pile of money in kickbacks, right?
Yeah.
So he says...
He says the whole system is in need
completely
of
flawed.
Overhaul. Mind you, to be fair, isn't that what Prince Ali says from Jordan, the guy that wants to run it?
Yeah, I think he
says
does,
the whole system needs to be changed.
Yeah. So what Desmond Morris says is, he says what you got to do is give the holding of the next competition to the current winners.
Yeah.
So the next one will be held in Germany because Germany won it. But I mean,
but you see, if they did that, then it would only be considered to be the sort of the big teams in the big countries that ever got to host the World Cup.
What's wrong with that?
Well, I think that's what has led us to where we are now.
Of course it has.
The whole business of Sepp Blatter spreading the word of football around the world was to take it to places like Russia, to take it to places like the Middle East, in Qatar,
and
to
Africa.
to take it to Africa as well, and to take it to South Korea and Japan.
Yes.
You know?
But, I mean, if the result of that is opening the doors to mass opportunities for corruption, then it's not a good system, is it?
Well, I suppose not. But if you were from one of those continents where football had never been really, the big sport, and where you never had a big competition like the World Cup, you would say that was unfair, because all you would have had
I'm not sure about
you would have
that.
had what? You would have had Germany, you would have had Spain.
Well,
who else would you have had in the last 12 years?
Are you sure we're not in danger of imposing football on some nations?
Well, I think
South Africa, for instance, right? Okay, things happen in South Africa, sports-wise, of course they do. Very big rugby nation, very big cricket nation. I'm not sure they're a huge football nation, and when I was there...
the belief was that they would become a bigger football nation.
I don't think they have, though. You see, I remember in Cape Town, they built a new stadium there right on the front, and we stayed in a hotel quite nearby, and from the balcony there we could see the stadium, beautiful stadium and all that. That's in disrepair now, nobody uses it.
Right.
It's not like there's been a revolution. Look, there hasn't actually been a revolution in athletics in this country since the Olympics, has there?
Not really, no. In fact, several studies have said that the so-called Olympic legacy has
never materialised.
Has never materialised, and there's only all it's really led to is the cycling superhighway.
Yeah, exactly, the cycling superhighway, and the fact that we've had a massive row about what to do with the Olympic Stadium, with West Ham taking it over, the taxpayers paying for it, or has West Ham got a good deal, and all that kind of stuff. And that's exactly the same in South Africa. They don't know what to do with the football stadiums anymore. So you impose this competition on some countries, and you're wary of how it ended up in that country. Yeah. And what Desmond Morris says is, do it like the Eurovision Song Contest. The only problem I could see there is when a strong country like Germany wins it, if you keep holding the World Cup in Germany, because they win it again and again and again, what happens then?
Yeah. Maybe they'd never stop winning it.
Well,
maybe it'd always be in Germany.
That is the danger, but they probably would. One of the South American
reboot.
Yeah, the Das Reboot. That's right. But one of the South American teams would inevitably get stronger than them one year, and so would one of the Spanish, one of the European teams like Spain or Italy or something like that. But anyway,
there was always a time, wasn't there, whenever the host nation was involved, and they would always sort of have a chance of reaching the final or reaching at least the latter stage of the competition. Yeah. Brazil sort of messed that up in 2014. South Africa messed that up because they didn't have a good enough team.
No, that's right. South Korea got to the semi-finals in the year when it was there.
Yeah, it worked for them.
It works for them.
I don't know if it's going to work for Russia. They may or may not have a decent
they'll have
team.
a very strong team.
Will they?
I would think so.
Who's in charge of Russia now that Fabio Capello's gone?
Well, I don't know.
I'm not sure they've gone. We see Putin's in New York, by the way, with Barack Obama.
Putin's gone to New York to speak to...
It's a picture of him on the front page of of one of the papers.
Yes, is that right?
Independent.
Yeah, excellent.
Your man Putin.
Hey, listen.
While we're on the subject of competition, I thought you'd be delighted with this news that London's rejected the chance to host the Tour de France start.
Well, not really. I quite like the gaiety of if you see what I mean. Yeah, the carnival atmosphere.
I thought you hated cycling.
Well, I do hate cycling, but
well, why would you want the Tour de France here then?
Well, I don't hate the cyclists who are professional cyclists. I dislike the amateur cyclists who demand occupation of the road at the expense of motorists.
Right.
And by the way, have you seen that, talking about this, they build all these cycle superhighways, which nobody uses except for 2 hours a day.
Right.
Use them for 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening. The rest of the time, 1/3 of roads in London now are not available to motorists who pay billions and tens of billions of pounds in taxes, not allowed to use the roads that they pay for because cyclists who don't pay a penny are using those roads. But it's getting worse than that now.
Yeah.
What I've noticed after being in Holfords recently is that the biggest sale in cycles now are these electric bikes with an electric motor on them. So they're actually now motorised machines. But you still don't need insurance. You still don't need to pass a test. You still don't need a certificate of safety.
Because they're on two wheels, I suppose.
You still don't pay anything to use the roads because they're still on two bicycle wheels, but they've got an electrically charged motor, which you can use to go uphill. It's an outrage. An outrage, in my view. A damn scandal. It should be investigated.
You're outraged by
I'm certainly outraged by that.
Let me tell you this from Paul, the Spurs fan, who's texted into 81089. He says, "Hi, Mike and Mike. Great show as usual. I'm sorry to correct you, Mr. Porky, but Mars is 128 billion miles from Earth. At 70 miles an hour, it would take you almost 2 million years to get there." I thought I heard you say a couple of hundred years.
No, 271 years.
Right. Well, he seems to think it's 2 million
years. If you're
years.
driving at 60 miles an hour.
Well, he seems to think it's 2 million years.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm right on that.
Well, actually, 2 billion years, he says.
No, that's rubbish. No, I'm right on that one. Don't worry about that.
Now, Derek in Pencoed says this. Mike, Porky makes fun of you because of the car you drive.
Yes.
I drive a 2005 Fiat Punto. Is he going to make fun of me? And he also said you couldn't sleep because you were drunk. I have trouble sleeping because he thinks I'm always drunk. I'm up early because I start work at 4 a.m.
Oh, yeah? What's he he do? Is he a postman?
I think he's a cleaner, actually.
A cleaner?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's a different job. Where's this? In Pencoed?
Yes, indeed.
What is it? Yeah.
Pencoed.
And what is it to clean in Pencoed? The local... the local community hall and maybe the phone box at the end of the road.
You've been condescending again.
No, I'm not.
Man of the people.
They've got the offices in Pencoed.
Pencoed.
Yeah. They have any offices there or shops or anything like that? Or is it just a remote sort of
it'll be like that
hamlet?
place you stayed in Germany
That's
with no
right,
shops.
Yeah, remote hamlet where nothing happens.
Maybe they've got a Walmart.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Now, winners and losers coming up very shortly.
Indeed.
This is Talk Sport.
A sailor's not a sailor till a sailor's been tattooed. Here's an anchor.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Winners and losers coming up very, very shortly. By the way, I didn't tell you about the Selco Predictor this week because you did a bit better on it than I did
excellent.
this week.
Good.
So you've now sort of crept up the chart a little bit. You're now sitting in 17th position.
Oh, really?
So
God, that's massive.
You've jumped up one spot, basically.
What do you mean? I was about 432nd, you told me last week.
No. That's in the two mics Predictor League. This is in the TalkSport Presenters League.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I was 7th last week, but I've dropped down to 14th.
Oh, well, there you go.
Because I didn't do quite so well. But
I think it must be my Everton prediction that got me there.
I think you predicted 3-1, didn't you?
Yeah,
well, I predicted 2-1, actually. I got that one right as well. Yeah. But anyway, let's talk about tattoos.
Now then, police officers rushing to get rid of tattoos because inked officers are snubbed for promotion.
Is that right?
Thank God for that.
Right.
That is fantastic news. Well, the idea that a policeman can be like some, normal member of the public who chooses to put tattoos all up and down his arms, on his chest, on his face or something like that is ludicrous. A policeman has to be seen as an individual who is representing authority, who is representing the principles of law and order. And you can't do that if you're covered in tattoos.
But is it not the case that because so many people have got tattoos now, if the only people that don't have them are police officers, then they'll be sort of easily identifiable by not having any?
What's the problem about being identified as a policeman?
Well, say, for example, they're off duty.
Yeah, so what?
Well, you might want if you're working undercover or something like that.
Well, no, I don't think so at all. I mean, bankers don't have tattoos, surveyors don't have tattoos.
Yeah, they do. Loads of people
I don't see them. I don't see them with tattoos.
You don't see them with the shirts off, do you?
Well, I tell you what, I know what you're talking about.
There are many more people with tattoos in this country now than there are without.
Well, that's a passing fad, and they'll regret them terribly when they get older and grow up and get a bit more mature. Now, the other thing is, Robert Peston, who you know very well, the economics editor of the BBC,
that's right, yeah.
Is he economics editor?
Yeah, formerly of the FT.
Formerly Robert Peston.
Yeah.
He's been with the BBC a long time ago.
Yeah, but he came from the FT.
Did he come from the FT? Anyway, he interviews the Chancellor of the Exchequer the other day. I think it was in China, where the Chancellor of the Exchequer was. And there was a lot of comment from viewers who thought he looked incredibly casually laid back, he was his hand draped over the back of a chair, interviewing the Chancellor with long hair and an open neck shirt without a tie.
That's his kind of image, isn't it, Robert Peston?
Yeah, but I think that I think that's disrespectful.
Do you?
The Chancellor of the Exchequer should be accorded the respect that his office title what's it looking for? Makes him entitled to, right?
I'm looking at a story here, which is knocking around in the Media Guardian,
yes,
from yesterday, saying that he's understood to be being offered the a role of political editor for ITV News at 10.
Well, that's going to happen because the boy Bradby, is it?
Who used to be the royal correspondent.
The royal correspondent, and then became the political correspondent, is now going to become the anchor of News at 10 on his own. They're going to have one anchor, just him. He's going to be a Dan Rather type figure.
Sort of
remarkable
rise to fame.
Nice guy, a very nice guy. Yeah, I've met him, and actually he took the royal job, funnily enough, thinking, oh, golly, because he didn't really want to do it. He thought it was a soft job, and he regards himself as a hard-nosed journalist. But he turned it into a terrific job because he became good friends with Princes William and Harry, and therefore gained access to their confidence. And, for instance, got, the first interview when Prince William got engaged to Kate and all that kind of stuff. And made he was the man who uncovered the phone tapping scandal. Bradby.
Was he?
Tom Bradby, yeah.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Because what happened was he sent Prince William a voice message, when he couldn't get hold of him, to say something like they had to cancel something because of William's knee. He had a knee problem.
And then the News of the World had listened into that message.
Or somebody had. I wasn't sure it was News of the World.
Well, he recognised it as when he saw it.
That's right,
The ridiculous thing was that piece appeared as a tiny little diary item, didn't it?
It did,
and he recognised it as his message.
And he thought, how good of that got in there? And he alerted the police.
Well, the thing about this guy Peston is that he came to the BBC, as I say, from a newspaper background, and he likes to think of himself as a little bit sort of quirky, I think. I mean, he's talking about this at one of these festivals that they have where they talk about the media, and he calls himself the Marmite of broadcasters.
The Marmite.
So, I mean, it's a bit like he's got a touch of the Brendan Rodgers about him, I think. He quite likes himself, doesn't he?
He does, but I just wish he'd show more respect, because I do honestly think if you're interviewing the Chancellor of the Exchequer, you should actually, say, well, hang on, do hold one of the great officers of the land. We are a great country.
Well, George Osborne doesn't always wear a tie, though, does he?
Well, he does in formal situations like that. Anyway, getting back to the police.
What he says. He says, I did not wear a tie out of disrespect for the Chancellor. I just didn't wear a tie because I don't really like wearing ties.
Yeah, well, I think you should grow up.
TV conventions are nuts.
OK, well, there you go. Now, about police officers, I do honestly think... what is the guideline for the Metropolitan Police, which is the biggest force in this country? Yeah. Tattoos on your hands, neck or face exclude you from joining the Metropolitan Police Service.
Well, that's fair enough.
Officers and staff who have visible inkings have to declare them to bosses, and details are kept on a register. Yeah. But they're now being told, if you want promotion, you've got to get them, it's not an instruction, but it's become known.
Yeah, but you're talking about visible tattoos.
Yeah.
I mean, they may have tattoos which are not visible.
Yeah, well, that's fine. I don't mind that.
You don't mind that?
I don't mind that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
if they're all over the backs of their hands...
you wouldn't know, for example, if I had a tattoo, would you? Because you only see my hands and my face.
Yes, but if they've got one on the neck and all that kind of stuff,
but
that's not right.
But that's what I'm saying. But they're not being banned from having tattoos completely, are they?
Yeah, but where it becomes difficult. I had a friend in the RUC when it was the RUC, the Royal Ulster Constabulary. It's now the Police Service of Northern Ireland, of course. It's been reformed, and he told me he was a constable. And, he was working there in the dark days of the Troubles, you know what I mean? And it was a very stressful job. You couldn't, for instance, drive to and from work in your uniform. Right. And, in fact, your neighbours didn't even know you were a policeman because you were a target for terrorists from both sides of the divide. Yeah. And you never had your uniform washed and hung out on the line in the back garden. You just told people you were a civil servant. Yeah. But he wanted to go for promotion in the RUC. And they found a tattoo on his forearm. Yeah. So you couldn't see it when his shirt's cuffs were closed, but on a hot day when he rolled up his sleeves, he was taken aside by an inspector and said, "What's that?"
Did it say "no surrender" or something?
Well, it didn't actually. It wasn't a political one.
Thank goodness for that.
Yeah, exactly. It was
a picture of Bobby Sands' face.
It was actually his girlfriend's name. Right. They got married when they were about 19 or something like that. Sorry,
you don't have to give it out.
I don't have to give it out at all. And he was told you'll never get anywhere in the RUC with that tattoo on there. So he was talking about getting it removed. I don't know whether he ever did or not. Yeah. But I do honestly think there's got to be a different set of standards for those who carry out the laws of the land. And I would hate to see a policeman with... for instance, I don't think a policeman should be allowed to wear an earring. Yeah.
Not while on duty.
Not while on duty,
no,
definitely not.
So.
Or have tattoos.
Are they allowed to wear earrings on duty?
I don't know. Didn't I see...
I've never seen it. Well, female earrings.
Oh, yeah, female earrings are okay, but...
I mean, just from the point of view of safety, I would have thought you wouldn't want an earring.
Well, no, you wouldn't.
Pull it out your ear.
No, I agree.
I mean, when I played at Wembley in the final of the Little Woods Cup, which the Express and Star team won, and I got a medal for it, by the way. This is the old Wembley, so I'd mentioned that. Anybody who, the referee called the teams on, and he told them to remove... I mean, because one of the funniest things was when the Sun team turned up, it was full of ringers, right? And all these kids who weren't really working at the Sun, but were known by somebody who worked in the messengers room.
They were all like apprentice footballers.
They were all apprentice footballers, but at least half of them were. Right. And when the referee said, if you're wearing any jewellery, please remove it, half of them walked across to the sidelines and took their earrings out.
Is that right? Yeah, and they were would-be professional footballers.
Well, they were. We still beat them, though.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I can't believe that.
Yeah, we did.
How could you beat a team of professional footballers?
Well, I don't know, but we managed it somehow.
Utter nonsense.
I crocked one of them, actually.
Did he crock you back?
No, he didn't. No.
They can get quite worried about that sort of thing. You might have damaged him. Do you ever buy toffee apples on October the 31st? What's that? Halloween for your children?
Halloween? No.
I mean, but do you ever buy them toffee apples at all? Do you know what I found out?
They're not very good for your teeth.
They're not very good for your teeth, but there's a.
Why, do you buy toffee apples?
No, I don't, but I know a lot of people do.
Really?
Now, over the weekend, a factory in Hampton in Arden, which is in Warwickshire, and near to where I used to live in Redditch, right? So I know it well.
Yeah. You mentioned Redditch already.
I know, it's the second mention Redditch you've had tonight here. Went up in flames, and do you know what it produces?
Yeah.
produces toffee apples, and in fact it produces...
Well, they're going to have a great time this year with all this apple crop going on.
Well, hang on. They produce 1/3 of all the toffee apples in this country.
1/3 of all the toffee apples made in this country?
Yeah. And most of those are sold on Halloweens.
Really?
How about that?
Well, how about it?
Well, they're not going to get any this year, eh?
Why are you telling me this? What do you mean they're not going to get any?
Well, there's going to be a massive toffee apple shortage on Halloween.
Why?
That's what I'm telling you.
Well, I thought it was
because the factory that produces most of them was burned down.
Well, you didn't mention it. You didn't say it burned down.
It's burned down. What did I say?
You've only just said that now.
Oh, have I?
You just told me there was a factory somewhere.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry.
That made 1/3 of the toffee apples.
Oh, I thought I'd told
why
you.
You were telling me.
I thought I told you it had burned down.
I thought you said there weren't any fires in this country anymore.
Well, there aren't many, but this one, this one spread to gas cylinder and oil drums nearby, and it all blew up. It was a huge fire.
Well, I hope nobody was injured.
A huge fire destroyed a factory filled with toffee apples for Halloween.
God, it must have smelt something rotten.
Yeah, there were 30 firefighters battling the blaze. Had to stop it spreading to gas cylinders and oil drums nearby. The entire building was affected. Right. Nothing left. And they'll have to now demolish what's left of it.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. Perhaps they can get the toffee apples from the other two places that make 2/3 of the toffee apples.
The firm supplies 1/3 of all toffee apples in Britain.
Did you not hear what I just said?
What did you say?
They could get the rest of the toffee apples from the places where they supply the other 2/3 from.
Well, yeah, but they'll have to go into overdrive now. Is there enough time now to make up all the toffee apples that are going to be missing?
How long do you think it takes to make a toffee apple?
Well, I don't know, but there's only 4 weeks to Halloween.
Well, I think it doesn't take long as 4 weeks to make a toffee apple.
Well, yeah, but they've got to source the apples. They've got to get the sticks. Where are they going to get the sticks from for the apples? Huh? Might have to get them from Thailand or somewhere and ship them in. Great big boats coming around the world.
I can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, another crisis we'll just have to face, Porky.
And what about the toffee to put on the apples?
Yeah, what about it?
Yeah.
I know, it's shocking, isn't it?
Yeah.
You got any more great news like that?
Well, that's just I'd let you know, Could be
indeed.
A crisis. I'm ahead of crises in this country.
Yeah,
there's a crisis looming in this country.
You're usually in the centre of it.
No, you can bet your life I'm aware of it, being imminent.
There's a timing crisis going on at the moment.
Yeah.
Looking to the light.
Yeah.
Coming up next, it's winners and losers.
Kick off with 100% football on Talk Sport, official partner of the Barclays Premier League.
Oh my word, he's done it again!
This Sunday from 1, exclusive national radio commentary of the Merseyside derby, Everton versus Liverpool.
Naismith is the man who finally breaks the deadlock.
With full updates of every single Premier League game throughout the season. Official partner of the Barclays Premier League, Talk Sport.
Talk Sport, we are the two mics, and a very, very important part of the week, of course.
Indeed.
The voting will begin very shortly after this 10 minutes or so, and you can retweet for Mike Parry this week. Favourite for me. Last week, the duck was broken, if you like, because so far it had been going to favourites.
Yeah.
Whoever was favourited was winning it. But last week, I was retweeted, and I actually won it. So it may have been the die has now been recast. But, would you like to start off with your losers, please, Mr.
Shall I
Parry?
start off with my losers?
Yes, please.
OK, I've got some crackers here.
Go on, then.
Right, first of all, my first loser is Mark Hopwood.
Oh, yeah.
And he is the MD of Great Western Railway. And they managed to provide no trains whatsoever to get Welsh fans back to Wales after the last Saturday's...
none at all?
None at all.
Right.
After the England-Wales game.
Right.
The last train went 20 minutes before the end of the game. So those Welsh fans either had to stay in the London, Twickenham area.
They knew that, though, didn't they?
No, well,
they didn't all turn up at the station.
The thing is, when you had such an important event between two countries within the United Kingdom, you can't provide a single train to get them back. That is a huge failure, and that can only have been constructed by a loser. I say Mark Hopwood's a loser.
Well, OK,
I think that's a fantastic one.
You say that, but I mean, I'm waiting for the stories of stranded Welsh rugby supporters who I didn't see any stories about.
Well, I mean, you haven't been looking hard enough, have you?
Well,
that's your problem.
Have you got stories about that?
Well, I'm not going to get into that. There isn't enough time. We haven't got enough time.
Well,
Now then, my second loser, Daniel Kriat.
Kriat?
Yeah.
Why so?
He is the Formula One driver for Red Bull who smashed his car up in practice last week. Do you not remember?
No.
Therefore, opening the doors to more investigations about driver safety because the safety rules are so stringent these days, that sort of thing shouldn't happen. But he made a fatal error. He put his two front wheels on the grass at the same time. Woof, bang, smash. and
well, surely if they're looking into
terror and chaos.
Well, if they're looking into more safety measures for Formula 1, that's a good thing, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's a bad thing.
Why does that make him a loser? You don't want to make the sport safe?
Well, he's a loser because he smashed his car up. He smashed the track up. The track had to be resurfaced at the point where he smashed his car up.
Does that mean the race was delayed?
No.
Oh, it wasn't delayed?
No.
So what's the problem?
Because the guy is a loser because he smashed his car up and he's supposed to be a Formula 1 motor racing driver, and it brings back all the horror and the memories of the death of...
Who?
What's his name? The Brazilian boy.
What's his name?
Yeah.
He cares so much about this.
Ayrton Senna.
What about Jules Bianchi?
And Bianchi, you're absolutely right, which is, very much more recently and a very, very tragic event. But I'm telling you, Formula 1 motorised drivers should not be doing those things these days. And the third one, maybe a bit obvious, but I'm afraid it has to be said, is Michel Platini, because Michel Platini has now managed to get himself sucked into the allegations surrounding excess payments at FIFA.
Yeah.
And he has now admitted, within the last 24 hours, it has damaged his reputation and his image.
OK.
I think that's three great losers.
I think those are three of the most bizarre losers I've ever heard of.
No. Three great losers.
You've missed out the biggest loser of the entire weekend, who is, of course, Stuart Lancaster. And that's my first one.
No, that's too obvious. Too obvious. I've had Lancaster as a loser 4 times now, women as a loser.
Yeah, but you've had him as a loser.
You could have Chris Robshaw for making the fatal error.
It's my turn now.
Yeah. I'm just telling you why yours are so weak.
No, you've had Stuart Lancaster as a loser when he's been winning, which is what makes you a plank, right?
No.
I'm having him as a loser because he actually lost. And not only that, but on Friday, he gave an interview to all the papers in which he said, judge me on this match.
Judge me on this match.
And he said, my fate hinges on the Wales game.
And we are ready.
And, and so he wasn't ready, and the selection was wrong, and they lost. And they now have the mammoth uphill task of trying to beat Australia.
That's too obvious.
To even get through. I think that's the biggest loser of the weekend.
Too obvious.
My second loser...
And lacks any depth of thought.
My second loser, I'm being asked to try and speed this up, so you have to stop interrupting me, is the Moose. You might remember the Moose, the man who appears on the Sports Breakfast Show with Alan Brazil.
I try not to.
Well, I know you don't want to think about this, but he appeared on Soccer AM this weekend.
I didn't know that.
And he put out some video of himself doing 3 tasks. He was asked to try and keep the ball, keepy uppies 10 times. He tried it 3 times, couldn't do it, right? He was asked to take 3 penalties, try and score one. Couldn't do it.
Why was he indulging in this?
Well, because they wanted to know because he was so critical of everybody else, whether he could actually do anything with the football. Right? Yeah. He was then asked to take 3 free kicks over a sort of makeshift wall, and didn't actually get any of them in.
Right, OK.
Incredible.
Do you think anybody would be interested in that?
I think he's a massive loser for doing it and for being such a massive wally.
That is such a statement of the obvious, to be honest. I don't think that merits being in any sort of competition like ours. But anyway, go on.
I suppose we could have him in every week. The third loser of the week is the Rent-A-Mob crowd that went and tore up that cereal cafe over in Shoreditch.
What's that got to do with the price of fish?
Well, it's got as much to do with it as the man who you say was the loser who runs a multi-million-pound railway company and gets paid very well.
And Strand's Welsh fans. That's a connection to our show.
Well, you didn't give any evidence of that. The point about this was is that lots of people live in Shoreditch. Lots of people who are working class. The point is that it was it's not Shoreditch.
It was in Brick Lane.
No, it was Shoreditch. And what these guys do is they're all anarchists, right? And they decide to go and smash up a neighbourhood for no apparent reason.
Yes.
And they're called an anti-gentrification crowd.
Yes.
Right? And they apparently don't want nice shops. They don't want anywhere where they can go and have a nice cup of coffee or a nice bowl of cereal. They'd rather burn the place to the ground. And I just think they're big losers of the weekend. I hope we don't see too much more of it. Those are my losers. I think they're far more interesting and far more
I don't think they're rubbish.
than
I think
yours.
they're all rubbish.
Let's hear your winners after this.
OK.
Everyone's a winner, baby. That's no lie. That's no lie. You never fail to satisfy.
Go on then.
Right, my first winner, and it is obvious, but it's got to be there, right at the top of the list, Lukaku. Double goal celebration against West Brom. Everton 2-0 down. Due to the brilliance of Lukaku, they come back and win 3-2. He scored 2 goals and he was the assist man to Kone for the middle goal, the third goal. It makes him the outstanding winner of the week, in my view.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
The second one, now this is a brilliant one, this, is Prince William.
Oh, yeah.
Because Prince William put on a red coat and supported Wales, because he is the Prince of Wales, so that's not surprising. But he was standing next to his brother.
He's not the Prince of Wales, is he?
Yes, of course he is.
I thought his father was the Prince of Wales.
Well, he's the Prince of Wales in waiting.
Well, he's not the Prince of Wales.
Well, he's going to be the Prince of Wales.
But he's not the Prince of Wales.
Well,
so I got that wrong.
Well, his father's the Prince of Wales, isn't he? His father's the Prince of Wales. So he's Prince of Wales in absentia. if you see what I mean.
Harry's father's also Prince of Wales.
No, you don't understand.
Is he?
Hang on. Prince William has a position with the Welsh rugby people, okay? And Harry...
Lucky he wasn't trying to get back on a train.
And Harry, that's absolutely right. And Harry, of course, is well known as England's most popular and vocal supporter. Sitting next to each other in Twickenham, all right? Harry becomes the loser because England lose, and he's got an England shirt on. Prince William, his father, of course, is the Prince of Wales, so he's been loyal to his father, puts a red shirt on, and suddenly becomes a winner. I think that's an outstanding choice, OK?
Really?
And the third one...
That's a bizarre way of looking at the rugby.
No.
So you've used rugby for both winner and loser?
Yeah, that's right,
That's very lazy.
But William's the winner because he had the Welsh shirt on. The third one, how about this? Tim Martin.
Tim Martin? Who's he?
He owns Wetherspoons.
Wetherspoons?
Yes.
Why, have you got a free meal out of him or something?
No.
Why are you giving him a big hello?
No, because of what I told you earlier on. The clue is in what I told you about my landlady friend.
Your landlady friend?
Yes. If England lose against Australia and they go out, that's going to be a massive dearth of people going into pubs to watch the rugby.
Right. How does that make him a winner then?
Because Wetherspoons don't have televisions in their pubs.
Possibly the worst selection of all time.
No. That means
That's hopeless.
That means that people will go into his pubs and not be encumbered by rugby games which don't matter.
Rubbish.
Rugby games of foreign teams playing in England which people don't want to see or listen to. That, I would say, would
so
boost
he's going to
the
miss
fortunes.
out on all the Australians, all the New Zealanders, all the South Africans who would like to go to a pub and watch it.
No, people go to Wetherspoons pub because they don't want to be disturbed by fruit machines or televisions.
Is that 3 now? I can't remember. Have you done 3?
Yeah, I've done 3. Yeah, of course I've done 3. Lukaku, Prince William, Tim Martin and Wetherspoons.
Well,
of course I've
rubbish,
done 3.
Right? No, I think
they were terrific.
The big winners of the weekend actually are Manchester United. Manchester United, who have been roundly criticised by all and sundry because they don't know what Louis van Gaal's philosophy is.
Oh, that's very original. The team at the top of the Premier League is your winner of the week. Oh, how original is that?
Yeah, well, that's what you call winners.
I think I'll choose the team that's top of the Premier League next week as my winner.
Well, maybe you should, because that's a much more worthy winner than the team that beat the team that's 4 points away from relegation. However, Louis van Gaal seems to have now got it right. They are top of the Premier League, and I think Louis van Gaal should be given due prominence for that. So Manchester United is my first one. The second one is Spurs, not because they beat Manchester City, but because after a couple of years or more of a bit of indecision and a bit of rowing behind the scenes in terms of recruitment, in terms of the transfer market, Franco Baldini is finally departing these shores, and he's no longer going to be working in club football. He's going to do something else for a change. I think there'll be a lot of Spurs fans very, very happy about that, because a lot of people blamed him for Spurs' inability.
So what do you make him? You make him a winner?
No, I make Spurs winners.
Spurs a winner
because they've got rid of Baldini. So
that's a corporate winner. That doesn't count.
And then my final winner is actually from the Japanese Grand Prix, because it's Lewis Hamilton, because he finally managed to obviously overcome what you said had been afflicting him for the last 2 GPs.
That's true.
Which is the retrograde Mercury problem.
So
he's obviously managed to
Mercury
build
going backwards in the universe.
He's obviously managed to build some kind of device which can help him actually win a race without the effects of Mercury going backwards.
Yeah.
So I think that's genius.
But hang on, talk about the obvious. Oh, the team at the top of the Premier League, one of my winners of the week. Yep. Oh, the man who won the Grand Prix on Sunday morning, another winner of my week. Yep. Aren't these a bit obvious?
Well, they're not
very obvious.
They're not as bizarre.
And then,
as yours.
Spurs are my winner of the week. They only had the best result of the Premier League so far, beating Manchester City 4-1.
But that's not
why
they're
are
winners.
So obvious. Honest to God, I don't know.
Well, fortunately, it's got nothing to do with you as to whether the voters out there vote for me or for you. So if they would like to take part in what is a very democratic process, I've just tweeted out the retweet for Mike Parry, favourite for me. So far, it's 7-1 in my favour.
Rubbish.
And this
the voting hasn't started yet. Retweet Porky.
It's just started.
Vote Porky. Vote often.
I think Porky's losing.
Vote Porky. Vote often.
It's 3-2 currently. I think this time tomorrow it's going to be 4-2.
Vote Porky. Vote often.
Now, I know this show's starting to get the reputation of rebuilding people's careers. You know who that is? Heavy metal band, you might call them.
Is that a heavy metal band?
It is.
Is it Metallica?
No, it's Deep Purple.
Deep Purple.
Smoke on the Water. Do you remember that?
Smoke on the Water? That's a long time ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I saw Deep Purple.
Did you?
Yeah, at the Wembley Empire Pool. when it was still called the
Deep
Empire
Purple.
Pool.
Now, that was some guy called John somebody.
It was John Lord on keyboards.
John Lord, that was him.
There was Richie Blackmore on guitar.
Richie Blackmore. What was their most famous song?
Smoke on the Water.
What was that? No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
Didn't have a single, though.
Well, Smoke on the Water was a single.
Was it? What's it sound like?
Well, I'm not going to sing it for you. I'm going to play it for you.
Oh,
it's the one about the Montreux Film Festival. They went down to record an album, and somebody set fire to the recording studio.
Oh, yeah.
And that was why Smoke on the Water, Fire in the Sky, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
David covered that.
I'm not sure they're one of my favourite groups, Deep Purple, but anyway, there you go.
They were fantastic live, I have to say. Now, a lot of people have been questioning your suggestion about TV and Wetherspoons, right?
Yes.
But we'll get to that in a second, because first of all, Naomi sent in a text earlier on asking how you did in the quiz last week. She says, I'm sorry if I missed you reading out my text a little bit earlier. Naomi, I'm terribly sorry. I don't think I did. She was asking how many you got in the quiz last week. It was 1 out of 10, I think, wasn't it?
What?
The 1 out of 10 in the quiz.
No.
Yeah, it was.
No,
The
it was
quiz.
generally accepted that the first question was so ridiculous that it was a non-question. Because do you remember what the first question was?
It was. What's so special about the M96?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I said it's the shortest motorway in Britain.
No,
and it is the shortest motorway in Britain.
But that wasn't what was special about it.
Well, what's special about it?
The fact that it's special about it is that it's in the Fire Service Training Centre.
In Northumberland, and it is 1 mile long.
No, it's not in Northumberland.
It is 1 mile long.
No.
It's in the Midlands, and it is the shortest motorway in Britain.
No.
It is. It is. Anyway, we're not doing
that's
that.
all done.
Yeah.
We'll have to come back to the quiz.
Now, why were we playing that song?
Because you want to talk about rabies.
It was World Rabies Day yesterday.
Yeah.
And who...
World Rabies Day?
Yeah, World Rabies Day.
What are you supposed to do? Go out and bite someone?
No, you're supposed to sort of, think about trying to combat rabies and all this kind of stuff. Now, rabies was a mass killer until our old pal Louis Pasteur found...
Is he one of those deadbeats like Emily Pankhurst?
No, he was great, Pasteur. He developed the first rabies vaccination.
Did he?
Now, didn't Pasteur also invent penicillin?
I don't think he invented anything.
No, Pasteur... Oh, I know what he did.
He might have discovered some things.
No, I know what Pasteur invented, because the clue is in his name.
Pasteurised milk.
Exactly. Pasteurised milk. He managed to make milk not poisonal.
Yeah.
Not poisoned. Not poisoned,
Give me some of that poisonal milk.
No, give me that non-poisoned milk, Because you used to get diphtheria from milk, didn't you?
I didn't.
Scarlet fever.
No,
I know you didn't, because that's because Louis Pasteur managed to clean milk up before you were born. But he issued a rule, right?
Yeah.
It was incredibly dangerous work, because what you had to do is you had to extract saliva from mad, rabid dogs,
right?
Which was a very dangerous job.
Well, when you put them to sleep first. I mean, don't mean permanently.
Well, you couldn't in those days.
You
had to sort of wrestle them, and get the. What are you laughing at?
He had some guy holding a dog down while he was trying to get, from its rabid, barking, maniacal jaws.
Yeah, it's true.
Some kind of a saliva swab.
It's true. And they didn't have, big padded gloves like they have now, so he had to wrap all his arms in bandages and all that kind of stuff. But there was a strict rule which stopped quite a lot of people working for Pasteur, and that was that anybody who accidentally... Oh, no, this is ridiculous, but it's true. Anybody who accidentally contracted the rabies virus had to be immediately shot.
Well, because they had no cure for it, right?
No, there was
nothing worse. I mean,
there was no cure.
I seem to remember when I was a kid.
Right, yeah.
When I was a kid, we used to be quite frightened of any dog that we saw.
In case they had rabies.
Particularly if it was like frothing at the mouth.
That's right, yeah, well, it should be,
Because the rabies in those days was not completely eradicated.
Yes.
And I don't think even in the early 60s when I was a kid.
No, I think you're right.
That your parents would say, look, if you get bitten by a rabid dog, you're basically going to get rabies.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And you're going to end up getting, what is it you get? You get sort of fear of water.
Oh, it's terrible.
You go insane.
You go insane, you get very thirsty, but then when somebody brings water, you go mad.
Hydrophobia.
Hydrophobia, that's right, yeah. But, no, you had to be shot and killed immediately because, as you quite rightly say, otherwise it would have spread. And as a result...
It must have made it a bit difficult to get recruits for his work.
I would have thought so,
Especially if you were the one having to hold the crazy dog down.
Well, that's right, yeah. Now, did you know that 50,000 people still die around the world every year from rabies?
Well, that's why we have a rabies quarantine system in this country, which doesn't exist around the world, does it?
Yes, that's...
It doesn't exist around the world. I mean, quarantine for animals is particular to Britain.
That's right, yeah.
You don't, for example, if you take a dog into France, you don't have to quarantine it.
Is that right?
On the basis that
haven't they got a big rabies problem?
Well, no.
They've got a big rabies problem in France, haven't they?
The problem with rabies is that they might have eradicated it from the domestic animal scenario, right? But that's why they have these dog passports now.
Yes.
So you get a passport for the dog,
Yes.
and if you take it into France and it's basically stamped as rabies clear.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know there are lots of countries in Europe, if you bring a dog or a cat in from overseas, from America or something, you don't have to put it in quarantine.
Well, exactly. But anyway, look, somebody did die from rabies in this century in this country, in Dundee.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a chap called David McRae. He's a wildlife artist, naturalist, and guess how he got his rabies?
Yeah.
He was bitten by a rabid bat. No, that's not funny.
I remember that story.
He was.
I remember that story. I'll tell you why I remember it, because I was actually running the Welsh Mirror in those days.
Well, there you go.
And I think we splashed the story. What year was that?
2002.
2002, there you go.
Well, hang on. If you were running the Welsh Mirror, why were you so interested in a story in Dundee?
Eh? Oh, maybe it was Scotland then.
This happened in Dundee.
No, maybe it was Scotland.
It was only in Scotland, must have been, yeah. But
I was confused because I'm reading a tweet here from Bushy, who says it's wrong about the Great Western Railway not providing late trains for Welsh fans from London on Saturday.
Yes.
There was one at 11:30.
Is there? Was there?
Yeah.
Really?
So that pretty much wipes you out.
No, not at all.
There was one at 11:30.
Well, there's only one. That wasn't enough to get all the Welsh fans on board.
You said there weren't
There
any.
were no plans to have any. That must have been a late emergency
they
train.
had one at 11:30.
Well, it's an emergency train. That doesn't count.
Yeah.
Listen, I'll tell you what else I want to talk to you about. This is a rather more uplifting story than people getting shot if they've got rabies. It is that we can all go into our fish and chip shops now and confidently order cod and chips again after years of shortages. Of shortages.
Yeah, nobody's worried about shortages of cod.
They are.
Oh, you're not, are you? You've been eating fish and chips for years. When did you ever concern yourself with whether cod was actually going to be on the menu?
I've been very worried about it for some time, to be honest. And
when was the last time you said to somebody in Wetherspoons, please can you make sure that your fish is not cod?
No, I've never said that. What I've said is, do you have cod on the menu? And sometimes they offer haddock or pollock as an alternative.
Yeah.
And pollock is fantastic. Pollock is the New Zealand version of cod. Mm-hmm. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Yeah, and it's really, really nice fish. It's lovely.
You're telling me that you always ask whether they've got cod?
Yes, I do, yeah.
On what basis?
Well, I prefer cod.
So if they have it, you eat it?
Well, you see, it is more expensive sometimes than the other fish because of the shortage.
Same price in the fish and chip shop down my way.
Cod stocks off the British coast had been overfished to the point of collapse by the 1980s, but have begun to bounce back after a campaign to reduce fishing and allow populations to recover. And this comes official figures from the Marine Conservation Society. OK?
Yeah. Well, I don't think...
It was on a red list, which means it was, that's a traffic light type system, which means its sustainability scale had reached critical proportions.
I live very close to the sea, OK, and I have not seen anybody not selling cod in the last, 3 or 4 years.
Well, you haven't been looking closely enough.
Yeah, I have. They all sell cod, and they don't have any kind of a red traffic light next to it.
No.
Maybe you're thinking of red snapper.
No, I'm not. No, honestly.
Now, here's another thing to...
just to finish.
Yeah, go on.
Much of Britain's cod in recent years has been imported from Iceland and the northeast Arctic, where populations are healthier. Now I'm saying we've got cod back in our own waters.
Yeah, well, so what?
Well, it's a massive step forward.
You haven't stopped eating cod.
Well, I've told you about the pollock. Yeah, go on.
What about this from Ian, who says Wetherspoons has TV in Crewe. I was in there and it was packed for the rugby.
Really? Mm-hmm. Where was that?
Crewe.
What, the Wetherspoons?
Yeah.
Well, they do have TVs. They do have TVs, don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is they don't have, full Sky and BT subscription services, because a lot of people think a pub can be ruined by the presence of dozens of people jumping up and down screaming about a football match.
They don't show sport in Wetherspoons.
No. What I said was they do not market themselves as football venues.
Well, here's another one from Craig.
And sports pubs, you know what I mean?
Well, here's Craig saying, how come I always watch the football at the Moon Underwater in Milton Keynes? #Wetherspoons. #Plank.
Yes.
This one from Rakesy says, MG, please tell Parry the Wetherspoons in Pontypridd in South Wales has a TV which shows sports.
Pontypridd?
And a fruit machine as well.
Yes, but what I'm saying is...
Sean says, I don't know what planet Porky's on. Wetherspoons has TV and fruit machines in Portsmouth.
What? In Portsmouth?
Yeah. This is all starting to look very bad for you.
No, I don't think so. I think I've got it absolutely right. I think they're a bit deluded, to be honest.
Shall I tell you what the latest score is?
The latest score?
The latest score. You retweet 9.
Yes.
Favourites for me, 60.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. That's been gerrymandered,
People have just been voting for 10 minutes.
It always goes like that in the first hour. It always goes like that.
Before you activate your bots.
What?
Before you activate your bots.
Yeah, before people pick up on what the competition's really all
we've
about.
We've only got a couple of minutes left. What are you going to do for the quiz this week?
The quiz?
Yeah.
The
reason I'm asking is because you didn't decide until Wednesday night last week.
Yes.
So the independent quizmasters were a bit concerned. They didn't have enough time to put a proper quiz together.
Well, don't worry. I shall come in with a suitable subject tomorrow night. There are a few under consideration. But we will decide on that tomorrow night.
And we've got a lot of Porky Vision to talk about on Wednesday night, I guess that would be, wouldn't it? It's Ask Porky tonight.
It's Ask Porky tonight, yeah. So get your questions
in, solve any problems.
How do they send a question in?
They send them at the two mics,
right?
Preferably. I mean, they can send them at Mike Parry 8 as well, or at IROMG, as long as you put hashtag.
No, I get bombarded by them then.
Well, sorry, you might have to do some work during the day.
No, I don't be bombarded because I want.
Don't worry about that.
No, I don't like to see them before you throw them at me because I like to react instantly and with with a.
All right, so don't send them to Mike Parry.
Yes, exactly.
You can send them at the two mics at IROMG, but make sure you put hashtag Ask Porky.
Quite right.
I mean, you've got to do Cider with Rosie, haven't you, on the old. Porky Vision, and you've got to do the second Downton Abbey as well.
A bit of Downton Abbey, but also some other programmes that I've seen, which will amaze you in my reviewable ability about them, and that's all to come.
Yeah,
we've got a fantastic week ahead here on the two mics. I'm telling you.
And as well, we've got all sorts of Champions League action as well.
Champions League action. I mean, it's all going on. Porto, that's a great town, Porto.
Yeah, have you been there?
Been there, yeah. Ate a lot of sardines in Porto.
Did you?
In fact, actually, I slept on about 8 tons of sardines in Porto.
Slept on them?
Yeah, on a ship that went out into the Atlantic to try and find some nutter of a sailor who was sailing over, rowing over.
What were you doing on a ship?
Well, because we went out to try and find him. He rowed over from America.
Waiting for him to come in.
No, I've told you about this guy before.
Yeah,
Remember, he missed Cornwall, and
but there was no stupid idea to go out on a ship.
No, to find him, we hired a trawler, and the only place I could sleep on the trawler.
We hired a trawler,
but it hadn't taken its stock of sardines off. So when I got on the trawler, I said, I need to lie down. I feel seasick. The only place I could lie down was on top of the catch of sardines. Seriously, in the hold.
Well, they were in tins.
No, you fool. They just come out the sea. They don't leap into tins, do they? The deck of a trawler, you idiot.
Well, they leap out of tins in your house.
Guy couldn't speak any English.
Is that your device going off again? Can you mind muting that? What is that? That cheap watch you've got?
No, it's my sports watch.
Sports watch?
Yes.
Oh, super. Right,
in case I go walking tomorrow, it tells me how far I've walked.
Yeah, OK. Well,
miles, 8 miles.
If walk's come to an end now, sad to tell you. Maybe that's why the alarm's gone off. Is that why you've got an alarm at 4 o'clock? Told you when to stop talking.
I'm not going to answer that idiotic question.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics.
Look at the light! Nessendorma.
What does it mean?
Means we do not sleep. It's like Costra Nostra, that which is ours.
Costra Nostra?
That's the mafia.
Cosa Nostra.
Yeah. Cosa Nostra Nessendorma.
Yeah, right.
That which is ours, we do not sleep. When we sleep, we only sleep with the fishes.
Yeah, very good. We've got Owen Coyle coming up next.
Owen Coyle.
What do we make of that? This is Talk Sport.
He knows sleep with the fishes. In effect, on the technology to transport, Scotty beam me up, you could transport the Empire State Building from Manhattan to the moon, couldn't you?
Why would you want to do that?
If you love the Two Mics podcast, you'll love the live show. Weekday overnights from 1am on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM and via the TalkSport app. TalkSport, your Premier League station with exclusive commentaries every weekend.
What an absolute corker!
TalkSport.
Let's go Crackers with the Packers.